Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back at it again. We're back here for episode 99 of the Broke Boy Sports Podcast. I'm Ashton G. Lewis. He's Martin Pape. And today's episode is called Toxic Positivity, baby. If you don't know what that actual concept is, you should probably look it up. A lot of people practice toxic positivity and claim it's just regular positivity. But the toxic positives that we're talking about are the flurry, absolute barrage. Some would even say, Martin, typhoon of positive COVID tests that are flowing through the NFL and a flurry of other leagues as well. College football has got a big issue with that going on. Hopefully, Kevin Sumlin is going to be all right as soon as possible. Same thing for Bobby Bowden. I saw that he came down with a case of COVID-19.
Yeah,
Hopefully, he's going to be all right as well. And then I saw a good chunk of Liverpool players, and then they had like 4 people pop positive. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost like we're back to where we were just a few months ago, Martin. Anyway,
yeah, it's a weird one right now, but also toxic positivity. Ashton, the celebrating of a man losing his job, that could also be seen as toxic positivity. You and I
hey,
broke
Martin,
that
Martin.
down on episode 98.
Yeah, Martin, I'm at the point now. I'm sure you saw it. I had a huge discussion last night at like 2 o'clock in the morning. A couple dudes hopped in. I tweeted out and I'll read it out loud so people can't say that I'm misquoting myself. A couple of people questioned whether or not I watch enough football, which I find to be hilarious. If you actually genuinely knew me, you would know. Honestly, those guys are lucky that I didn't just absolutely eviscerate them. And one of them claimed that he doesn't think anybody on the face of the planet knows more about football than him, and I find that hard to believe. So I tweeted this out. Y'all do know Bill O'Brien is the best coach in Texans history, right? Question mark. No amount of hashtags or hate is changing that, bro. There are bad times ahead. Just remember what you asked for and what's coming next. That's the last thing that I personally am going to say about Bill O'Brien that's not like a direct correlation to the game. I'm not defending the dude. I just want y'all to stop and think about y'all out here trying to talk as if Bill O'Brien didn't push this team to a level that has never been before. He raised the expectation to the point that it got him fired.
Yep.
That's literally how he got fired. 0-4 is unacceptable because of how good he was with the team that he was a part of and in charge of leading. And I get it. The players didn't like him. I get it. You can say that he held back Deshaun Watson from truly excelling. I guess we're going to find out, Martin.
Yeah,
I guess we're going to find out.
We got the tough matchup against the Jaguars and this Sunday.
Which, by the way, a setup if there ever was one.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cal McNair on that one.
Yeah.
Just thinking, like, look, he's gone and we're already winning.
Yep. October 8th. It's a Thursday, Ashton, as we record this tonight. We got another Thursday night football game. We're going to get into all of our NFL Week 5 picks.
Do we? Or do we have a Thursday night football game?
Yeah, this one. This is the first one actually going to be on Twitch tonight. So, or if you got Amazon Prime or Twitch, you're going to be able to. You don't have to watch it with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. As I a couple episodes ago brought up, you can watch it with Hannah Storm or the quote unquote international, where it's two guys from across the pond giving you the action. So if you're not that big of a Joe Buck and Troy Aikman fan, you can get a couple other people to tell you the game, and also you can watch it on Twitch, which is where we're broadcasting live. One of the platforms you can watch us on, twitch.tv/BrokeBoySports. We're on YouTube. Tuesday's episode, Ashton, we might as well put it out there, is not on the YouTube because of my failures on my end. Not record. We did a 3-hour episode on Tuesday, Ashton, and not a second of it had audio on my end. So luckily, we're smart enough to have 2 different recordings going, or else we would have had a good 3-hour episode wasted. But you can get us on Spotify, you can get us on Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere you can download a podcast now. We're on there. But if you want to follow along on Twitter as well, you got Ashton at FB_playbook. The show's Twitter account, Broke Boy Pod, and myself, Martin Pape _ that's MartinPape. And Ashton, I'm going to take a quick second here to talk about our boys over at boys and girls over on Thrive Fantasy. They have got some props going for tonight's game between the Bucks and the Bears. Tom Brady, Ashton, do you think he's going to throw more or less than 260.5 passing yards against the Bears defense, or is Allen Robinson going to get 80.5 reception yards? Those are just 2 of the props that are available. Go ahead and download it on your phone or from Google Play or your Apple App Store. Thrive Fantasy, code BROKEBOY. And when you put $20 down, you get $20 back. I think it's actually going to be a good game tonight, Ashton. We're going to get into it in a little bit later. But as we do, with just every show on the Thursday. We talk about what's popping in quarantine.
Yeah, man. I've been the negative Nancy the past couple of weeks. I've been talking about possibly the worst things possible when it comes to what's been popping in quarantine. But Martin, I think I'm gonna take a step back this week. I'm gonna
Oh,
take a step
you're
back
gonna
this
let me
week.
be the negative one?
No, I'm gonna
Oh,
let Martin talk about something that once again the revolution has begun on multiple fronts, and one of them apparently is in esports as well. This is the year for some reason, Martin, that we all lose our shit about the typical bad sports video games that we have to deal with on a regular basis. Go ahead, Martin. Let
yeah.
the people know.
So, as our listeners that have listened to a lot of the episodes know, or there was one specific episode where I went in on EA Sports and the Madden franchise because, let's be honest, it was just a roster update this past year, and it was so poorly done. Um, there was Madden 19 banners still in the game 2 years later. That's how much they don't care about their product. But this week, this episode, we're talking about the other major EA Sports franchise, and that is FIFA. FIFA 21, the early release dropped. I got my hands on it, and if you've been following along on social media, they have been blasting the fact that this is an updated game. It's this, it's that. It's going to be the best game ever. You're going to love the changes that we made to it. Career mode has got an all new look, all new, all this, that, and the other. We've changed how you do this. Football Ultimate Team, which is their moneymaker, they said they made a few changes to that. And Ashton, just like Madden 21 this year, it's the exact same game as last year.
Got him again.
It's literally a roster update reskinned. Like their biggest change is the color of the background when you're not in the game. And they apparently, and Derek Rowe is kind of standing up for them, who is one of the announcers that you hear in FIFA 21. Apparently, they changed or updated some of the lines that you hear, like when he's broadcasting a game. I would beg to differ that I've yet to hear a new line. It's weird. And I just want
So
to
you
know
want so
what
Martin, we're gonna talk about what the real deal is here.
what the
We're gonna
fact that
talk
they're just
about
stealing money.
not even the money theft. That's typical. That's what happens every single year. The biggest issue that's happening that's going down right now in regards to video games, in particular the sports titles, bro, everybody's like hinging upon this transition that we're all just going to magically make at the same time in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody's just going to instantaneously have a PS5 and a new Xbox, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody's been harping on. That's what the big sell has been, right? That's what we've been told because the same thing happened in NBA 2K. There's no cutscenes in NBA 2K after you get to the NBA. There's no like talking and there's talks and negotiations. There's no cutscenes. You don't see the characters that they spent all that time mocapping
Hmm.
any further than when you get into the NBA. You don't have talk scenes where you talk to like the assistant coach because you never talk to the head coach in My Player if you play NBA 2K because they control who the assistant coach is and it's the same dude every single year. It's
Yeah.
the same dude from last year, by the way.
Oh, really?
It's the same guy from last year. So you don't know what his name is. You don't know anybody else. You don't talk to any other players or anything like that. So you have that situation going on because they're all like, "Oh man, we're working on the next gen version of the game." And I was like, "So basically, the people because it has like complete compatibility, right? So
Hmm.
it has 100% compatibility, and that's why they're trying to get you to buy it now so they can get their money up front for the basically them giving away two games essentially. But the next generation game comes out, and it's supposed to be like this life changing experience for everybody. Load screens are supposed to be non-existent anymore. They're supposed to be able to have better graphics, better gameplay, all this kind of stuff like that. Hard for me to believe, mainly because of the lies that we've been told before.
Yep.
So, I can't wait to see how it just absolutely fails. So,
Yeah, I just want to see if the FIFA fan base, because let's be honest, there's probably more people that play FIFA than Madden. I want to know how
oh, no
mad they're
doubt,
gonna be.
without
Like,
question, without
I-
question.
because in the early release of Madden, it already started the hashtags that we saw, like NFL drop Madden and drop EA and all this stuff. So is there gonna be a FIFA drop EA? Um, Also, I don't know about you, Ashton, but growing up, I really used the what are they, like, the gaming review magazines and stuff, and now they're like basically websites like IGN. Um,
Yeah,
so for our listeners, if you don't think that sites and people that do the reviews like IGN aren't being paid to hype up the games and say it's a 10 out of 10, 5 stars, this and that. Um,
at the very least
You're very
understand that
gullible.
they are at the very least understand that they are protecting their connection with the franchise,
Yeah.
right?
Like, yeah,
Understand
they
that
get a
they need
a little
they
money.
need the is the money, of course, too, but they need early access to the game to be able to get those reviews out. They need that cutting edge access to make them different from so many gamers who are now beta testers, right?
Yep.
So many gamers who are now Twitch streamers who, by the way, if there's ever been bigger competition for like the for gaming magazines and gaming websites, it's Twitch streamers playing the game live in front of people. The
Yep.
guys who kind of like one set the meta. That's another thing we gotta talk about there. Like the guys who set the meta are the dudes that are they're on the screen in front of these kids, either on their phone or on a computer screen, or even in some cases live on their Xbox, on their TV screen. Something to always keep in mind. Like there's competition at such a high level when it comes to so many of these aspects of it, and that's just one small fraction of it. Because I'm interested to see how gaming changes when G4 comes back,
Yeah.
because a lot of people really didn't get hyped about that, and I can totally understand why, because there's been so many other entities that have popped up. But if G4 is even a fraction of the success that it was before, because really it was an entire channel 100% solely dedicated to video games.
Yep.
And they had TV shows called, they had one of the best, one of the best like shows of our time, Attack of the Show, right? That was like the huge thing that everybody wanted to keep happening even after G4 retired, but it's coming back. There's no way they don't try and involve these Twitch streamers. There's no way
Oh,
that
they
they don't
have to.
try and involve.
Yep.
They have to. And like they're free content. They're hours, like Martin, like if they're a TV show, it's a 3-hour TV show that people are always tuned into.
Oh yeah,
So
100%.
and they have so many tools at their disposal. But yeah, and stuff like this will be exposed very quickly. Like those guys, if they do get a platform to be on TV, they're going to be brutally honest. They don't have to be nice to those gaming companies or anything like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. FIFA 21 putting out a turd is not surprising whatsoever.
Yeah. Hey, at least it was. At least it's optimized, unlike our friends over on Madden. At least you can play the game and it's not a frame by frame PowerPoint. So we got to give them, while we're trashing them, we got to give them a little bit of, hey, good job. You actually,
did the bare minimum.
yeah.
Congratulations.
But yeah, that's what's popping for me in quarantine. Ash, and FIFA 21 early release, and I'm thoroughly disappointed. And like you were saying, some of the things that haven't changed at NBA 2K. So one of the things they promised was a different, like in the career mode part where you like buy and sell players. They promised that that was changed. And so I went in, I made a team. I was going to do Sunderland, but I decided against it. I went for a Premier League club, did Arsenal, um, and I bought 3 players, and it was the exact same, like literally down to the music, down to the everything. Maybe it was a different color box where you put how many dollars you want to buy somebody, but it was literally the exact same as last year. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not gonna lie, I like playing FIFA to pass the time, especially the career mode. I don't touch FIFA Ultimate Team, just because it's a money grab.
By the way, Martin, I was gonna say, Martin, this is the part of the podcast where we remind people FIFA Ultimate Team is one of the greatest games in the history
Yep.
of sports.
Yeah.
And maybe, honestly, dude, if FIFA Ultimate Team was a company, they would be,
they'd be like Fortnite.
SEC would shut them down. If FIFA Ultimate Team was a real company, they would shut them down because they're selling and bargaining off bad faith.
Yeah. They're like, you give us X amount of dollars, and you have a 1% chance to get a Lionel Messi card, and that 1% is never gonna happen. Like the
it's
people
worse than the casino. It's worse than the casino, Martin.
Yeah, it's
because casinos have everything pointed towards them. At least when you go into the casino, you're willingly signing up to be hustled. Right?
Yeah.
You're signing up to try and beat the same rules, the same system that has like certain rules against that shut it down and everything like that. But FIFA actively, in some cases, works against the players. Ultimate Team, sorry.
Yeah, I'm
but
actually
interesting.
I'm actually glad you bring that up because I remember reading this and it was it's happening in England, I believe, or actually no, the lawsuit's been filed here in California. It was just a British site that I saw it.
Is it the loot boxing?
Yeah,
the
loot boxing lawsuit. Yeah.
So by the way, China and Japan way ahead of that. Yeah. China and Japan doesn't do like the microtransaction bullshit because they know the audience that first of all, like culturally they're not about like the, you know what, I'm not gonna say a generalization about culture of another people that I don't fully understand, but gambling is like frowned upon in pretty much general culture as a whole, right? Unless you're like in Vegas, even here in America, it's frowned upon unless you're in like one random specific location in the country, right? But it's they consider it to be uh gambling in bad faith. Like there's too much of an advantage stacked up against the person who's gambling, and on top of that, it's children gambling
Yeah, most of
with
the
money.
time they're using their parents' credit card, and we've seen all those stories. Like, wasn't there there was like a
There's an
basketball
E60.
player? Wasn't there a basketball player that like his son got a hold of his card and
It was
put
Kendrick
like,
Perkins.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kendrick Perkins, yeah, who
Shout
wasn't
out
he?
to him. He follows me on Twitter.
Oh, nice, hell yeah. But yeah, that's what's popping for me, Ashton, is FIFA 21 and EA Sports. Just again, maybe not as bad as Madden because I've yet to see any FIFA 19 billboards in the game, but they yeah, the early release lackluster. I'll still play this one because it's optimized for my PC. I think if you remember me saying about the Madden thing, it's still not optimized. Like I could download Madden right now on my PC and it not be optimized to play on my computer, which is, I mean, how long has it been out now? Like over a month.
Yeah, man, it's not gonna change. We know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But Madden 20
That's
is
what's
optimized.
popping,
That's
man.
what's weird. It
You know
doesn't
how
make
that
sense.
goes.
It doesn't make any
And
sense. Yeah, that's what's
they don't have
popping
the
for
same
me.
they don't have the same dev team and they don't have the same budget. We know that.
Yeah,
That's what's popping in quarantine, right? Or you
yeah.
got something else?
No, that's it for me.
Make sure you speaking of gambling, download the Thrive Fantasy app and use promo code BrokeBoy and actually get a legit chance to win a lot of money.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I've made $4 off of them so far this year, which was nice.
and Martin's not even a pro.
No,
Martin's not even a pro.
I do the funny. I try to do like funny or like props that like I don't know. Like I try to have a good time with the props. I'm not like researching it and all this stuff. I kind of just have fun with it. But if you're into that type of thing, if you like watching the big game and the props that come along with it, they do it each and every week for football, basketball. There's some esports in there. League of Legends World Championships are going on. Uh, which unfortunately, Ashton, before we get into the best of the best, the first North American team has been knocked out. You haven't seen
Surprise,
any of the
surprise.
memes. Yeah, the NA scene in League of Legends is like a joke in and of itself, and
I mean, that's pretty much every major gaming
yeah,
team. Yeah,
but
like
the memes that have come out of it, man. Like I've watched Worlds for 7 years in a row now. Like this year is by far the memes are just they're just killing it. The social media teams for some of the like social media being a social media manager for like a popular esports team, you can have so much fun. But
dude, my
yeah,
point to make on that is, man, like I just want y'all to know, y'all try to talk about like esports athletes not being like real athletes or whatever. They get heat on the internet like they real athletes.
yeah,
So
they get
when
yeah.
they get fucking cooked, they get heat like and once again, they bet like once again it's the same concept with athletes, right? Like they're you talk about the North American scene, every single one of those cats eviscerates average players.
Oh, for sure,
And
100%.
and another thing to go along with that, they're not even the best ones, right? Like
Yeah,
they're the ones who signed up to play on the team. Like the best players really in the grand scheme of things are typically just out there doing their own solo thing. Like we all know that that's the case because there's more money to be
more money.
made
Yep.
if you got a personality and you know everybody it seems like in esports goes through a phase where they join a team and they enjoy it for a little while and then they start losing their ability to be themselves, which sounds familiar for regular athletes, right? They
Hmm.
start losing the ability because of the rules of the team to be out there and do their own style. They're not in control of their play style or what their teammates are doing or anything like that. There's not as much freedom as they want. They can make more money somewhere else. The money's nice. It's guaranteed money, which of course is always nice. Sounds familiar, like pro athletes, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where the lack of freedom does the money doesn't make up for the lack of freedom.
Yeah, one of the best, or I'm not going to say best players, but a player on one of the worst teams in the North American League of Legends league, he gets paid $2.1 million to play the game. So just remember
Jesus
that,
Christ,
like when you
good
like,
baby.
it pays to play video games in today's world, Ashton. But let's move on to another staple of our podcast, best of the best and worst of the worst. You've actually got both the best of the best, worst of the worst, and you got so
I
much good
brought the
stuff going on.
I brought the positivity today, baby.
Nice.
I brought the good energy today. I didn't even have to work hard to find these. That's the best part, Martin. These are rare days. You know this. You know
Yep.
this in sports. It's rare when it's just there's an avalanche of good things happening when there's like a ton of bad things happening. So best of the best, man. The Washed King reigns supreme. LeBron James is one win away from another championship, but also in his free time, just moonlighting. He started an organization that is protecting the democracy that our country is built upon to make sure that people are having their voice heard. If you have not heard this story, Martin can probably tell you as well. Governor Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, has recently decreed.
He went to court. He went to court to defend this, by the way.
Went to court to defend this. Did any results come out of that? Because this thing goes into effect on Friday, I believe. So hopefully that's something. But anyway, the Washed King started an organization more than a vote. Keep that in mind while I tell you the story. Governor Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, has come down and said that there is only per county allowed to be one mailing ballot or absentee ballot turn-in station per county. Thus meaning counties in particular, like Harris County, that has 12, have now been cut down to 1. If you know nothing about Harris and Montgomery County, Houston takes up most of Harris County and parts of Montgomery County, the outskirts, right? So Houston, the third largest city in America, right? And third largest city in America, millions of people live here. Millions of American citizens live here who have votes that they want to get in. This is a global pandemic where voting inside of a polling station in person is significantly higher of a risk of contracting a disease, COVID-19, which we do not have a vaccine for, which we do not have a treatment path for yet. People are still researching. Vaccines are supposedly on the way. They're still in human testing phases. But the fact of the matter is, there is no feasible way when you go into a hospital that a doctor's like, all right, I can guarantee you that this is going to work, or this is a high percentage chance that this is going to work. You're kind of on your own. There are a lot of people in America. As a matter of fact, some would estimate even like 60% of Americans have what you would call pre-existing conditions that would go along with COVID-19, thus increasing its ability to end your life. So naturally, in the midst of an election year, where the American people get to vote on who they want to lead this country, you should make all of them flood to one location to turn their ballots in. That makes perfect sense, right? So the one location, by the way, Martin.
No, you got to tell really quick, Lashin. You got to tell him why.
Yeah. Tell him why. Okay, so
because there's not enough poll workers apparently. Not enough.
No. Oh, no, Martin. That's not why. The reason that is referenced by Governor Greg Abbott is because he wants to institute poll watchers to prevent voter fraud, which has historically, when you look it up, been extremely rare. That has been stated by groups of people,
which he says is rampant.
All sides.
Yeah, he says it's rampant. Yeah.
Somebody else also says it's rampant, but I'm not going to talk about that. It is a lawyer. There are multiple lawyers who have, nothing to gain from like telling you that voter suppression is real, right? There are multitudes of people. There's only one group of people that are telling you that voter suppression is rampant in America, despite the evidence showing differently. There were 39 ballots out of 404 in a runoff election in Harris County that were returned back. No proof of voter fraud, but returned back because of some violation of the rules that are here in Texas. If you're wondering, why don't they just request a mail-in ballot? That is not allowed. The only reason you're allowed to have a mail-in ballot, no exceptions have been made for COVID-19 in Texas when it comes to mail-in ballots. The thing I wanted to get to here, Governor Greg Abbott has said that there's only one polling station per county, which, by the way, Martin, tell me if I'm wrong on this, the turn-in location is NRG Stadium. Is NRG. So shout out to the Houston Texans for going out there, because them and the Rockets were ahead of the game when it came to trying to get involved with this whole voting situation. So shout out to NRG Stadium. Also, there's a number of factors why this is a problem, Martin, and we can get into this. People with pre-existing conditions, and then we talk about like basic shit. Some people in Houston don't have cars.
Yeah.
Some people in Houston can ride the bus, I guess. But once again, I talked about this last week, the poll tax of being able to vote. It costs you money to go and be able to vote because you have to transport yourself to a singular location, right? Instead of where we have many places where you can turn the ballot in, it costs you significantly more when you have to go to one location. If you know nothing about Houston, here's a freebie. The phrase "Houston is an hour away from Houston"
Yeah,
is
it's so
used
real.
and regularly believed
Oh,
by
100%.
everybody in Houston.
You know, if you're going anywhere in Houston, you have to time out in advance where you're going. And this is where LeBron and his it's an organization more than a vote is stepping in, Ashton. They're partnering with Lyft to allow people to drive to they're going to drive the people to NRG Stadium to drop off their ballots. But here's the thing, Ashton, because of other laws, they can only do it to the drop off ballot. Like they can't even like the person that is taking that ride for free with Lyft to the ballot drop off can't take that Lyft back home. They have to get another Uber or another Lyft or another ride back because it's just
Isn't
it's
it wild how obvious it is?
Oh yeah. Also,
It,
so in his argument, he says that there's not enough people to like what do you say like watch these
not
multiple
enough
drop
poll
off
watchers,
locations.
which is yeah,
So I'm looking at I've got an article here from the Houston Chronicle, so that's who I'm referencing when I say this. According to the Houston Chronicle and the Harris County clerk, there's twice as many people in Harris County signed up to be a poll worker than in 2016. So did we do this I can't remember. Did they do this in 2016 and make it only one drop off location? I don't
of
remember.
course not.
Exactly. So it's just weird. It's just you're
Oh, we know it. Oh, it's not weird. We know what it is.
yeah, it's suppression.
Multiple politicians, Al Green here in Houston, and not that Al Green, different Al Green. If Al Green came out and said something, I feel like a lot of people would be listening as well. A lot of people who are outside the state of Texas, but in particular, Lena Hidalgo, who has been leading the push to prevent Houston from continuing to be the hotspot for COVID-19 that it is. She's been making all these mandates, in particular, stopping bars from going back to 100% openness, even though the governor of Texas says that that's okay, as Texas is third in the country in cases. So fun. Anyway, just wanted to point that out. Shout out to LeBron James. I just also wanted to point this out. So many of you dudes out there want LeBron James to be a supervillain
Yeah.
when there are far more sinister people at work right in front of you. Anyway, shout out to LeBron James. Shout out to all the athletes that are partnered with them because I know he did some stuff with the Dodgers, making sure that Dodger Stadium is going to be a poll location, and helped with Seattle getting to a place where people can show up to order mail-in ballots. And we actually had an episode where we read off all the stadiums that signed up almost immediately afterwards and everything like that.
Yeah.
Despite the fact,
It
begs the question of like, why do you want to stop people from voting, or
yeah.
why would you
Yeah.
want to make why would you want to make a year that is already difficult, where there are a record number of people without jobs, where there are record numbers where there's a global pandemic with a disease that we don't have a treatment for just yet. Shout out to all the scientists out there doing their due diligence every single day to try and save the world. But why would you want to add a wrinkle of difficulty for the sake of protecting against something that has historically been proven to be basically non-existent?
Mhm.
So anyway,
Also,
moving on.
my last thing on
Go
this
ahead,
session.
my bad.
Do you know any connection LeBron has with the Harris County or the city of Houston? I don't.
It's people. It's human beings here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's literally
By
no
the
reason for LeBron to do this except out of like basically the kindness of his own heart. So next time you're bashing him or like somebody's bashing him for this
You're
or
talking
that or
about a
being
dude. Talking
like
about a dude that tried to help make sure that democracy
yeah, in a
was
county
brought
in a
out to its
state.
full.
Yeah,
And also, don't forget this part too. People love to talk about like how bad a person LeBron is for specific reasons, and it's pretty obvious like what the disingenuous argument is. And I'm not going to get into it. It involves another country, but you know, it's hard to. And once again, LeBron James, private citizen, right? Private citizen, public figure, kid who like basically escaped abject poverty
yeah,
to become a millionaire, and is somehow finding a way to help and has made distinct efforts to help the people in the area that he came from. Have to wonder
yeah. It's
how
weird.
how evil that guy is. How is that guy so evil? Such a terrible person, right?
The only thing I don't like about LeBron, yeah, the China
You don't
thing.
like his shoes. I get
Well,
it.
no,
It's cool.
the China thing. That's a totally different top. Like he should have addressed that. That is what it is. But he does kind of play for the cameras a little bit when he's on the court. It. But here's the thing. I like other athletes that do that. So I don't know why I don't like when
I
LeBron
mean,
does
yeah,
it.
I was
You
gonna
know what
say,
I'm
man,
saying?
you love Conor
I like
McGregor.
exactly. Conor
So
McGregor is a fucking prime example. But I don't know. It's just I don't it rubs me a little bit the wrong way, but I'm never gonna hold that against him. He's a fucking amazing athlete. Glad to be alive when one of the best to ever fucking play the sport is doing his thing. Um, his team is what
That's
3-up in the NBA Finals. Like
3-1, baby,
yeah,
3-1. By the way, they have announced that they're wearing the Mamba jerseys tonight,
which is interesting.
so they
If they
can,
lose,
if they do, it's them calling game,
oh
so
yeah,
they
for
can
sure,
win,
they know.
so they can win in the Mamba jerseys and create like that beautiful moment because it does pay the black Mamba jerseys do pay homage to one of the greatest basketball players. Like we've already talked about Kobe enough on this podcast, and it still blows my fucking mind that he's dead, bro.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Also, while we're on the topic of Kobe, his wife Vanessa is really asking people to stop um, using
Doing the
Kobe.
math thing,
Yeah,
yeah,
using
doing the
Kobe and
824 thing, yeah.
well that and just like stop profiting off of Kobe and Gigi. Yeah, it's 10 months since it happened. Come on, guys, let's have her. She should be allowed to forget the fact that her
Or the
husband
loss
and
of the love
daughter.
of her
Yeah,
life
exactly. Like,
and
and
her
you're only
child.
doing it for clicks. Like that, Ashton. You and I are smart enough. We know when fucking people are what people are up to. They're only. Uh,
By the way, and Twitter caught on pretty quick to it too, man. Everybody trying to do this whole like it's 24-8 in the
yeah,
first quarter.
yeah,
Kobe out there looking down on us.
yeah,
Or like adding up numbers or it's like 28-24 or something like that, 2-8-2-4. And it's just like, yo, man, stop the
yeah,
bullshit.
yeah.
Like,
Just
really. Bleacher Report, please stop.
yeah,
Sorry, let's just call them out.
yeah.
Bleacher Report, please stop.
Ashton, you got a couple more things that you want to mention for best of the best this week?
Man, shout out to the newest member of the New Jersey Devils, Martin, a young man, a 13-year-old, suffering from cystic fibrosis, which, from my understanding, is basically like your nerve endings are turned
Yeah,
on as if you're in pain constantly. So, doesn't sound like a fun existence. Shout out to this young man, Riley Hoagland, who is now officially drafted by the New Jersey Devils, his hometown team. Shout out to them for going out there and doing that thing. Also, a very strange photo for a young man who's suffering from a very serious disease to be standing next to a literal mascot, the devil. So, but yeah, shout out to them for going out there making that young man's day. And they did it in a safe manner. They made sure that they presented the jersey outside, which is of course a way to prevent transmission of a disease and everything like that. Shout out to the New Jersey
really quickly,
Devils. Sorry,
Ashton,
go
have
ahead, man.
you ever watched Lucifer?
No, I have not watched
Lucifer on Netflix. Then you'll know that what you were saying there about the devil and everything. Devil's actually, according to Lucifer in the Netflix series, the devil's actually a pretty nice guy. He's just been he's been the human embodiment of evil. So it's just really fun. Sorry, I've been watching Lucifer on Netflix a
The
lot, so
Devils
it's
pretty
just really
nice.
fun.
Yeah.
Go and watch it, dude. It's a great show. I recommend it to everybody now. I
Also,
really
read
like
the
it.
comics. Read the
Oh yeah,
comics.
yeah, yeah. The comics are really good.
Support comics, guys. We
Yep.
need those. If you like Marvel movies and DC movies, read the comics. Also, if you like side stuff, keep reading those as well. The smaller comics, the ones that don't have like the main superheroes, that typically relate a lot more and a lot better to average to everyday people, are the ones that we need to keep alive. So they're also we need to keep them alive long enough so those writers can get that big money when they turn it into a TV show, like
Yep.
Luther.
Yeah.
Luther and Preacher. Preacher is the one I'm talking about. And moving on, Riley Hoagland, newest member of the New Jersey Devils. Shout out to him. Also, shout out to us for mentioning hockey on this podcast.
Hey, the
Moving
Stars
on,
didn't. The Stars got second place in the Stanley Cup Finals.
hashtag fuck Dallas, respectfully.
Yeah, we can finally
Anyway,
say it. Anytime they lose, we'll say fuck Dallas.
fuck Dallas, bro.
But if they were winning, I would have been celebrating.
Like the Tampa Bay Lightning, who apparently had like a boat parade.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
had
awesome.
people come to the arena.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Hendrix Lapierre. We're talking about hockey again, baby. That's how dope this podcast is. 2 stories about hockey. That's what you came here for. He, I think, even though the Washington Capitals kind of fucked this up, they were like, oh man, say hello to your new teammate, and it's a photo, which I think would have been the ultimate, this is how it's going. It's him as a kid holding up hockey trophies. In the background is a fat head, which is, if you don't know, like a giant sticker of like any person, but typically an athlete. It's a fat head of Alex Ovechkin. And yesterday, Hendrix Lapierre was drafted to the Washington Capitals. So nice. The dude he's looked up to since he was a little kid is now his teammate. Also, Alexander Ovechkin, you're old as fuck.
Yeah.
You're still one of the GOATs, though.
That's like one of those Frank Gore, like, you'd expect a Frank Gore to be in this story somewhere, like I was a Frank Gore fan when he was in Miami. Now I'm his teammate on the Jets or something like that. But
Like
yeah,
those, like one of these days, a kid who Cam Newton handed that one of those footballs to
oh yeah,
is gonna be drafted, and he's just gonna be like, "Oh, this is weird."
or the
He's
kid in
like,
the
"Yeah,
Super
Cam."
Bowl, the kid in the Super Bowl commercial that ran out through the tunnel. He's gonna be in the
Oh
NFL
yeah,
apparently in
yeah.
some
We're all
couple
waiting for
years.
that kid from the flag football commercial. Yeah,
Yeah,
all waiting for that kid to pan out to be a really good football player.
yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got, man. I just wanted to point that out. Alexander Ovechkin, one of the greatest hockey players of our time, is old as fuck because now he's got a guy who looked up to him as a child, literally as a child, on his team. So fun with that. Moving on, Martin. Naturally, the way the world exists, man, there are good things and there are terrible things that happen all the time. We move from the best of the best to the worst of the worst. And it's time for us to nerd out a little bit here. Talk about our backgrounds a little
Yeah,
bit. Martin,
Ashton told me to do some research. I was like, all right, where are we going with this one?
I just want to make sure that we're on point when we do this because I know this is an opportunity to educate some people when this discussion is being had. Because I know a lot of people, if you look at it on Twitter, it's just a bunch of people yelling back and forth about their feelings and emotions. We just wanted to give some people some perspective because honestly, Martin, we've known this since we were freshmen in college?
College, yeah. Like
Yeah,
Ash and I both did some broadcast journalism in college, so we both know about the ratings. We've both taken tests. We've both been asked about Nielsen and the fact that
fucking
it started in like the 1950s. So this is what we're talking about, guys. This is what y'all are getting arguments about. Something that started in the 1950s and technically hasn't really been upgraded all that much
it's like
until
sharks. It's
today.
like sharks, right? Like it's like sharks. They have a ton of power within a certain realm. Like a
Yep.
shark on the land, not a threat. Shark in the water, most dangerous thing on the face of the planet. Super deadly, super precise. Nielsen ratings in a vacuum work perfectly.
Yep.
So Nielsen ratings, by the way, the de facto rating that people are usually referencing when they're talking about ratings on Twitter and stuff
Yep.
like that, because it's the easiest thing and it's the system that, once again, Martin talked about since the 1950s. So people trust them.
Yep.
People invest money in understanding Nielsen ratings. We'll start here from the top. I'm assuming Dr. Clay Travis tweeted about this at some point, but I saw Doug Gottlieb once again. Put your phone down, Doug Gottlieb. Work on your takes, bro. Doug Gottlieb tweeted out about, is anybody watching the NBA Finals? And of course, that sent off like a huge tirade, and a bunch of other people tweeted about it as well. And there's one person who I won't mention who probably needs to keep his mouth shut as well, who loves to talk about other athletes and private citizens all the time, even though he is a elected official in America. But I'm pretty sure most of you know exactly who I'm talking about. If you don't, go look at Mark Cuban's Twitter feed. He roasts him on a regular basis. The Nielsen ratings are a system for calculating what is watched on TV night in and night out based on different time slots and an assortment of other data points. Nielsen boxes are the devices used to gather that data. There are very small amount of people in America who actually possess these Nielsen boxes. Martin, do you have the exact number on that? Or
I've been trying to find it. It fluctuates year by year, so I mean,
they're
I don't
called
know.
the boxes are associated with Nielsen families, which already tells you that it can be skewed because what families watch together is drastically different than what most of America watches because not everybody's in a family. Not everybody has the responsibility of raising children or being a part of a relationship because that change, as most people know, that changes what you watch on TV. So it's already skewed slightly, right? Nielsen boxes are used for them to gather data on the watching habits of a small sample size of people. They even call it specific sample sizes
Yep.
of people. They know it is not anywhere near. It's supposed to be representative of America. It is nowhere near the actual sample size, or is nowhere near what people would consider to be a reasonable sample size or representation of America.
One of the articles that I found about it, Ashton, says the representative sample, which is what we're talking about right now, like people that like actually sign up for it and be like, yes, I want to do this. It's around 5,000, according to this article. I, it's just an entertainment article, so I don't know how take it or leave it on entertainment, but around 5,000 of close to um, Nielsen actually put out. So Nielsen last month, or actually last month, not last month, in August, put out They believe there are 121 million TVs in Americans' homes for the 2020-2021 TV season. So apparently only 5,000 people sign up for that. So just take it or leave it. And the thing is, it's not just the people that sign up. They can randomly dip into your TV, my TV, anybody listening on twitch.tv/ Broke Boy Sports or on Spotify, however you listen to the podcast. They can dip into your TV at any point that they want. It's just that random. So like when they say that Game of Thrones shattered all these records, that's because I mean they could dip into any TV at basically any time, and somebody's probably
And
watching
see,
Game of Thrones back then.
and that's a perfect example of how, hey, guess what, Nielsen ratings do have points where they're just like pointing out what we already know.
Yeah,
They reinforce what we already know about the world. Everybody was watching Game of Thrones. Like, we know that based off of every form of social media on the fucking planet. You know that based off the conversations, your ability to talk to literally any person on the street about what happened on Game of Thrones, right?
yep,
So there are instances where Nielsen is something that you cannot determine how you spend your money based off of. It is a very educated guest.
yeah, it's exactly
Educated
what it is.
guest.
Yeah, like it's they can they can be right sometimes, but then they can be really wrong. But
And
people
well
for
and
some
well
reason harp on it as if it is the fucking end all be all of how many people are tuned in watching. Because Ashton, you and I were having the conversation beforehand, and they're the Nielsen's trying to update it for streaming and other things like that. Uh, we talked about the fact that we watch on our phone, we watch on our PCs. We don't. My TV is over here to my left hand shoulder. I'd no longer sit down on my couch and turn on my TV to watch something. I'm watching it in a different medium entirely. So myself, you, and other people that do it that way, we're not even being counted into these NBA. Well, technically we are. Hint, hint. People that are saying nobody's watching the NBA, people are watching the NBA finals. It's just not the classic air quote classic way of watching TV.
right. And also Nielsen ratings has a really tough time calculating how many people are in a fucking bar on any given night,
Yeah,
right? So if you've ever gone to a restaurant on a Sunday when things are normal, that more than likely is not being counted, but is viewers. And that's why, despite what Nielsen ratings does say, plenty of people are going to be signing up to advertise with NBA teams
yeah,
next season. So notice how, like, and once again, the argument is being made. Oh man, NBA ratings are way down for the NBA Finals. Naturally, it's because of the recent political movement. And I implore you once again, if you're listening to this, podcast, you're watching us on Twitch.tv, /Broke Boy. Matters of human dignity are not politics. Racism is not a political issue. Homophobia, transphobia, the rights of humans are not a political issue. Stop lumping it in to the same category of infrastructure like fixing roads.
yeah.
Stop lumping it into the same category of building permits. Is not the
Preach,
same thing.
preach. Yeah, yeah,
So that's all I'll say on that. The NBA ratings are down. Everybody says it's because of the recent movement of Black Lives Matter and everything like that, and the recent empowerment of players. Even though, Martin, if there's one thing we've known, NBA players have been quite empowered for quite some time.
yeah,
One of those guys, of course, leading the charge is LeBron James, without a
yeah.
question whatsoever. So
And Ashton,
moving on.
I think I know where you're kind of going with that point. What about has anybody looked at the MLB ratings? Has
Oh,
anybody
they
looked
looked
at
at Martin. That's the funny part.
the
We know they
NHL?
looked at it. We know they looked at it.
The
We
ratings and
know they did.
everything is down. Like
The
it's
lowest rated Stanley Cup final, like, in the past like 10, 15
which
years,
makes
bro.
sense. It's Dallas versus Tampa Bay. It's
And
two
it's
warm
being
weather teams playing for a cold weather sport. So like obviously Canada, like the Canadian teams, their fans. I mean, there's probably fans of the sport, but like if you're fans of the fucking Edmonton Oilers, you're not gonna tune in to watch to see who the fuck won between Tampa Bay and Dallas. Like
right.
you're gonna go on with your you're gonna go on with your life. Like the only reason I tune into the NBA Finals is because I'm a sports fanatic. Like there's fans of the Houston Rockets that aren't tuning into the NBA Finals. Like it people
Exactly.
don't like for some reason they look over that argument just to get to the argument that they want to be at, and it's just dumb. But Ashton, you put a stat in here that is actually quite impressive because there is one sport that apparently people are actually tuning in to watch.
It is, as a matter of fact, many would argue, based off of the things that they've been doing, one of the most divisive sports that's out there. The WNBA had a 14% increase in viewership in the NBA Finals. By the way, if you want to be real about it, Martin, Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart in the Seattle Storm had that shit locked up from game one.
Yeah. Like you
The
want to say the
Las Vegas
Lakers was a sweep? This one was even better. I mean, just quickly, we got somebody coming into the chat here. I'm going to call you Nutley Boy. What is up? Thank you for joining us on twitch.tv/BrokeBoySports. That's Ashton. I'm Martin. We're talking about worst of the worst right now, and it's the people that are kind of obsessed with the ratings and having their reasons for the ratings being down. But Ashton, yeah, the WNBA, they were probably more so talking. I'll just say things, talking
Martin
things up
Martin
more than the NBA. I mean,
Martin, they literally had when Jacob Blake got shot in the back, they had multiple players wear shirts that
yeah,
had drawn bullet holes
yeah.
on T-shirts. When one of the one in when one of the owners of the Atlanta Dream spoke out against how the WNBA needs to basically shut up and dribble, that's what she told them to do. What is it, Miss Loeffler, I believe, Senator Loeffler, who their response, the players' response was to make T-shirts endorsing her opponent in her upcoming election, to vote for her opponent in her upcoming election. They have been very, very open and very honest. By the way, there's a really good ESPN Daily episode about where, like, the path of Senator Loeffler in her how she got to owning the Atlanta Dream, what her opinion has been. Because Miss Loeffler came from very humble beginnings. She literally grew up on a farm, and she is now a millionaire. So she is the epitome of what the American dream is. That doesn't discount what she said. That doesn't mean that what she said was not dismissive of the existence of the black women and people of color that are in the WNBA, of the women in general who are in the WNBA, about them speaking out against what they believe and what vast majority of the people believe to be murders based off and fueled by prejudice towards a group of people. So that being said, the WNBA finals were up 14% from last year. They are one of the few sports, Martin, we've discussed this already, that has come into the quarantine and thrived. They're one of the few sports that got hit with a global pandemic and somehow came out better than when they started. They are going. Hopefully, people were taking notes and they saw how valuable the WNBA is, and that means there will be more WNBA games on. Because I know I went out of my way to watch it because it was more. It was easily. It was more easy to access. And once again, we can have this whole discussion about how you just sometimes, when it comes to sports, if you ever wanted to move forward, you just got to make a blind investment in going out there and trying to give it an opportunity to thrive. And maybe this is the jump and the evidence that people needed to support the WNBA more. I also want to point out one thing. There is a member of the WNBA family. Her name is Cappie Pondexter. She is missing and supposedly in the Los Angeles area. If you're listening in Los Angeles and you need to know any, or if you see her, look up her story. Cappie Pondexter, Pondextr. She went missing a couple days or 2 days ago or a day ago, and apparently was arrested. She didn't have her ID on her. She could be going through some sort of mental health break, and her family is looking for her. Her friends are looking for her. So if you see her out there, tell somebody. See something, say something. Anyway, no league in major sports has been more outspoken than the WNBA, and somehow, Martin, people still watched.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Nielsen ratings are not an accurate representation of the world that we live in. So once again, I just implore you, every time this stupid ass ratings debate comes up, and I get it, some of you guys don't actually give a fuck about the whole thing. Some of you guys just want to hear what you want to hear, right? You want to hear things that go counterintuitive to what is going on. I am also just a reminder, if people asking for you to respect their existence is something that pisses you off, you are never actually a fan of that sport. You're never actually a fan of that person.
Yeah, Ashton,
Just
and I believe it was last Thursday's episode, you brought up and Nutley saying, "Is the NFL viewership down?" And that's what I was gonna bring up for my point on. Didn't we say last Thursday like the top 10 shows on TV right now are
Martin,
all
I
NFL?
didn't mention it on Tuesday. It's now the top 15 shows.
Yeah, so
So
so they're also The NFL is also being outspoken. They've got messages on the back of their helmets, messages in the end zone to end racism. So apparently, people are still tuning. People are still tuning in. Um,
Don't believe the bots.
yeah,
Stop listening to the bots. Trust
and
me.
uh, and and
I guarantee you, there's people out there. There's people out there in the world that are actually stopped. That have stopped watching the NFL for sure. There are people who have done that.
oh yeah,
I
for sure.
guarantee you, it's not enough to be able to register.
Yeah, and Nutley also brings up a good point. It's been points galore. Like, have you read
Bro,
the story where Las Vegas, like the people that are doing like the lines, have you seen they're like having to go back and like rethink everything because of how many points are being scored right now in the NFL? It's
side
crazy. And people are
side.
watching. Just trust me, people are watching the NFL.
And Martin, another thing to point out, we talk about the NFL. Penalties are down
Oh
by like a
yeah,
shit ton.
you saw
Penalties are
that?
down by like a shit ton.
You saw the
Um,
holding thing where there
yeah,
18 teams are on pace to have less holding penalties than all 32 teams last year, which is just wild. They're just not calling holding anymore. So if you're an NFL lineman out there, go ahead and just go ahead and basically give the guy a chokehold because they ain't
by the
they
way,
ain't gonna call it.
use the hug technique
Yeah,
if you know what
yeah,
that is.
yeah.
The hug technique
Just
is
give him a little one hander,
it's
or actually that
perfect.
came out wrong.
It is it has been the hug technique has been perfected by Bakhtiari of the Green Bay
Oh
Packers.
yeah,
So check it out. It is a method of legal holding in the NFL. It has
yeah.
been taught by the Green Bay Packers offensive line, and it is very effective.
Yeah. So that's
They
the
don't
best of the
call
best, Ashton, and the worst of the worst, best of the best. We got LeBron helping out people in Harris County, a young teenager being drafted by the New Jersey Devils, and then Alex Ovechkin. You're getting old because you're playing with a kid who was a fan of yours as a child. Worst of the worst. People that are obsessed with the ratings. We move on to about a week ago, Ashton, and this one broke
it.
literally as like just about as we were going live. Tyrod Taylor, no longer the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers. He has lost his job to Justin Herbert after getting his lung punctured by the team doctor before the Chiefs game. Um, I'll just give my take on it real quick. So Anthony Lynn, the coach for the Chargers, said that Taylor after the Chiefs game that no matter what, I'm not putting those words in his mouth, but he said Taylor was going to be the starter once he came back healthy. That is
Yes,
his words. Three
yes.
games later, despite Justin Herbert, I think on Tuesday's episode we both agree we don't really know where to fall on him yet. He's played well against
That's two
Tom Brady.
exceptional games.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, he's played well against. When he played Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers, not his best game. They've lost all three of their games that Tyrod Taylor has been out. And now, going forward for the rest of the season, even though by all accounts Tyrod Taylor has been practicing this week, he's basically fully healthy. Even though you told me before we started the show, the NFLPA is telling him don't no, don't play at all. But
Yeah, not to play indefinitely because that lawsuit's coming down, baby.
yeah,
That
that they want
they
that
typing it.
money's coming. Yeah, he's
There's
getting.
people typing that. They're typing it up right now. They need Tyrod Taylor's lungs to be in the worst condition possible. I even made the joke off camera. I was just like, "Yo, he needs to pick up cigarettes
Yeah,
so they can. He needs to start smoking cigarettes, guys. We need that anyway. That's pretty much it, man. It's interesting to say the least.
yeah. Also, this comes from Field Yates over at ESPN. Tyrod Taylor has now lost his starting job 3 times in his NFL
Yep.
career. The first time was to Nathan Peterman in Buffalo, even though it was only for one game because Nathan Peterman came in and threw 5 interceptions and had
I
one of
mean,
the
he had a historic performance. Brian.
historically bad game. Like it was.
Don't discount him. He had a historic level
The
performance up
Bills were
there.
like, you know that emoji that's like kind of the embarrassed face. They were like, all right, we Tyrod's not that bad, right? So he he ain't gonna throw 5 interceptions in one game. Then when he was playing for the Browns, this one another injury. Ashton he lost it to Baker Mayfield after a concussion. So like basically the NFL and some of these teams are using Tyrod Taylor as like the litmus test for their rookie quarterback that they've drafted. So Baker came in after a
I
concussion.
can't think of a guy who's gotten a more unfair shake in the NFL that we've been alive for than Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah,
I can't.
he's definitely up there. It's a rough one to lose your job to 2 different injuries to Baker Mayfield and Justin Herbert. You can you, you can say what you want about Justin Herbert. He's played well in 3 games. I don't think he's played well enough to take over the starting job because Tyrod Taylor had his lung punctured by the team doctor. Like out of his control, literally getting a shot for a bruised rib turns into you losing your job. And by all and Tyrod didn't play that bad week 1, as far as I remember. I'm gonna bring it up real quick, but I don't think he played bad.
He played poorly against the team that was burgeoning, basically. But
Oh, the
they still
Bengals,
won.
yeah, the
They won
208
the game.
yards, no touchdowns. So yeah, six. Okay, so he didn't have the best game, but 16 to 30 for 208 yards. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not good. And
Yeah.
Justin Herbert hasn't done anything to wow me except play well against Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes in 2 losses. Like Tyrod Taylor's 1-0 this season. Justin Herbert's 0-3. So that just tells you it tells me enough right there. You know.
Yeah, man, it's highly inconvenient. I'm sure for the Chargers, and once again, uh, another dude that I don't want to end up having to defend on the internet, but I find myself doing it all the time. I'm like, dude, I just want y'all to recognize when he got a chance to start with the offense that he was dealing with, he got the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Yeah. So about a week ago, Ashton Tyrod. Unless you got anything more, we can move on. But about a week ago,
we can go into this one now, man. Instead of waiting for the NFL segment, about a week ago, Dwayne Haskins was the starting quarterback for
that was
the Washington football team.
Yeah, that one.
So,
and coming off of what you and I agree was his best game so far, and he's getting benched.
Combine that with the fact that
you don't want to say it. I'll say it. It's 2 black quarterbacks benched for 2 white quarterbacks. I'll say it.
It's that.
I'm not going to play the racial card, but it's the truth. There's two quarterbacks of color being benched for two. I'll just say it, white guys.
So I wanted to bring this up. PFF, Pro Football Focus, highly intelligent group of people and people who are diligent in terms of studying football. They talked about what is this lowest accuracy percentage in the NFL. Dwayne Haskins at 30th, Mitchell Trubisky at 31st, and Carson Wentz at 32nd. Carson Wentz is a Super Bowl champion.
I didn't know that.
Carson Wentz is a Super Bowl champion. He's also made I think he's got some crazy stat where he's throwing the most interceptable passes in the NFL this season as well. But Dwayne Haskins is 30th. He has had 11 starts in the NFL. Mitchell Trubisky at 31 has had 44 starts in the NFL before he got dethroned by Nick Foles.
And say about his real name, Big Dick Nick.
Based off of what happened last week, I will not. So, but yeah, Mitchell Trubisky, 44 starts, and Carson Wentz, who deservedly so, has 60 because he's earned the benefit of the doubt in the ways that he's played. He's had 2 MVP level football seasons, and he also more than likely would have led the Eagles to a Super Bowl championship when he was healthy, and he just wasn't. So. And even last year, based off just what he did last year, he deserves the benefit of the doubt. And I just want to put that out there, man. Just focus on that because Dwayne Haskins is also on one of the worst run teams in the NFL. He's got one of the worst offensive lines. Remember, they traded away their best offensive lineman last year to the San Francisco 49ers during the draft. They also have, 2 young wide receivers, which have been killing the game, in particular, Terry McLaurin. They have a really good defensive line. And the overall perspective on their defense is still out. The jury's still out on that. But for the fact of the matter is, Dwayne Haskins is not the biggest issue with Washington. Yeah. By far.
And we've talked about it. Yes, he has struggled. However, there's a couple.
Most people struggle 1 year into their
when
NFL
they have
season.
when they have the offensive line that the Washington Redskins have, it's going to be a struggle for just about any quarterback. But Mitchell Trubisky had 44 games before he was benched. Dwayne Haskins has got 11. So
Josh Rosen got an entire season before they traded him away.
Yeah. Just put.
Peyton Manning's first season was absolutely atrocious in the NFL.
Yeah.
Nathan Peterman threw 5 interceptions in one game and still has a job in the NFL.
Yeah. So there's one common denominator between all of it, Ashton, and we'll let other people think about it. We're talking money now.
Joe Flacco is starting the NFL game this week.
We talking money, Ashton. Are we talking money now? The Titans' COVID outbreak still hasn't still hasn't been. I guess it's under control since the numbers have technically went down, but still they are. Where
They
I
have two
read
more
Ashton,
people. They have two people test positive today.
what I've read is the NFL is about to come down on them worse than
Doubt it.
any other team ever. Like this is
Doubt it.
supposed to be the biggest punishment that they're working on that's ever been handed down. So
Doubt it.
yeah,
Big time doubt it. Once again, we talking money. We talking money because what would be the biggest punishment, Mark? You think it's draft picks, or you think they try and force the game?
I would say forfeit the season. Like
So what happens is what happened. We see now we're talking money, Martin.
yeah,
Now we're really talking money here, right? You think the NFL is going to pass up on money from a
no,
team that was in the AFC Championship game just a year ago?
mm-mm.
That one of the most one of the fan bases in the NFL that has, you know, I mean, talking about up and coming, right? Like everybody
Yeah.
believes in Ryan Tannehill. People love Tractor Cito, aka Derrick Henry. Uh, they may have been irresponsible. They may have been reckless. They may have been because guess what? The NFL violations that they're getting in trouble for is not the other thing that they did. So the Titans COVID outbreak, they've had 24 players in 12 days test positive for COVID-19. And by the way, hope every single one of them is asymptomatic and is 100% healthy as soon as possible. And hope everybody in their family is safe from this disease as well. It has ravaged the world too long. And it's taken a lot of good people away from us, Martin, and we know that. It's taken a lot of good people away from this world who can do some good things. And I hope everybody in the Titans organization is going to be all right. 22 players, just the players, by the way. 24, just the players, because they had personnel who tested positive as well. The NFL closed the Titans facility September 29th. The Titans had an off-site practice at a school where children were at on a private school, which I'm assuming somebody made a phone call and they were like, hey, man, you can come practice here, all this kind of shit like that. Because once again, like if you don't know this, NFL teams are pretty tightly knit around the high schools in the area.
Oh, there was a
everything
coach.
Like that.
I think it was a coach.
Oh, it has to be.
Called up somebody and was like, "Yo, we're not like we got room on our field, but they got caught."
No doubt about that. They probably thought it was gonna be pretty cool. They were like, "Oh man, the Titans gonna go to their facility. Wouldn't it be cool if like the kids came out, and got a chance to practice with the NFL team and all kinds of stuff like that?" But yeah, the Titans had 22 players test positive in 12 days. They closed the facility September 29th. Off-site practice September 30th. Players, according to players, I think it was A to Z News that they told they actually didn't get any information about not being able to gather until October 1st. Like they weren't told that they can't gather together until 2 days afterwards, which by the way, Martin, you know what that means? It means they heard that they had an off-site practice, which I'm assuming it was because of the internet. There were literally kids that just took photos from there were literally kids that just took photos from inside the school. And they were like, yeah, man, they were like, I think the Titans are practicing on the football field outside. Kids took photos from inside the classroom and everything like that, put it on the internet. But I'm assuming that's what happened. They saw that they had the off-site practice, and they were like, hey, no, none of that. None of that. They also had multiple off-site practices at different locations, like the offense practice somewhere, the DBs practice somewhere else. But yeah, it was one of those situations where the Titans were given information that they had somebody positive in their facility, and their natural, brilliant football idea. They're like, well, we got to get ready for this game that they're definitely going to make us play. And many could argue that it's the NFL's fault for not just being like, hey, the game's canceled, because once again, we talking money.
Yeah.
Because we're talking money.
Well, also, Ashton, so I don't know if you saw this. The way that the NFL set up everything, the Bills might not get paid if the Titans have to forfeit this weekend's game.
Which
so we talking money.
The Titans easily become the most hated team in the NFL because they have now fucked the Steelers and the Bills, who have done nothing wrong.
And
who, by the way, the Steelers and the Bills, in the midst of having a really good season, and there's no telling what disrupting their practice schedule and their ability to train has been able to do.
Yeah, and so I'm getting this from this report from Yahoo Sports. So you gotta remember, some of these players aren't getting millions of dollars. Some of these are on, like, there's a linebacker, Delshon Phillips, who he only makes he makes $610 this entire season and did not get a signing bonus. So he's speaking out saying like, yo, I need that money. Like,
I need that money too, dog. I need that money for you. I need that money for you to have, because that makes no sense. Because it makes no sense that they had to suffer because of somebody else's mistake. But that's how football goes. And on top of that, the NFL's already come out and said, we're not doing that whole in the sake of fairness bullshit, which is of course how they justified having the Patriots and the Chiefs play each other on another Monday Night Football game, right?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they knew that there was still a window that players could test positive, and lo and behold, one did.
Yeah, wasn't it
So,
Stephen Gilmore tested positive?
yes, the Gilly Lock, Stephon Gilmore, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, ladies and gentlemen, tested positive for COVID-19. Apparently, he's asymptomatic. I'm glad to hear that.
But he
Stephon
played
Gilmore,
in the game, and there's a picture of him giving a hug to Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, and
putting
you
out
know
there.
what the messed up part? So I also want to point this out as well. In this time period where you're, getting information and gathering and everybody's reacting instantaneously, don't forget we're talking about like real human beings.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about real people who now have a disease, whether they be asymptomatic or not, they have a disease that, has taken people's lives. So there's no telling what's going to happen. And on top of that, we don't know what the long-term effects of the disease are. Don't be that guy. Like I heard people talking about how the one of the defensive tackles for by the way, the Raiders had somebody test positive as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Maurice Hurst, one of their defensive tackles. I saw somebody talking about Bill Murray, the defensive tackle for the Chiefs on the practice squad, tested positive. And they were like, yeah, some nobody from the Chiefs tested positive as well. And I'm like, I mean, dude, he's like a human being. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't be that guy. That's all I'm saying.
But
I just want to talk about that. Yeah, we talking money.
Yeah.
Missing these games. We can't be missing too. Martin, you know this. We can't miss too many of these games, man. We got to get this paper. We got to get this money.
Yeah, I'm looking at this tweet that was it Torrey Smith? Basically, Torrey Smith is saying like the Titans should take a loss. Like you shouldn't have to forfeit. You shouldn't have to do this. Like they fucked up. They know they fucked up. They've admitted that they fucked up. And so Ed Warner retweeted it. And Ed Warner, as everybody knows, has a lot of connections inside the game. He's saying a lot of players around the league are like that. But what's weird about this whole thing is, Ashton, the NFL put these like weird little, like the roster sizes were bigger. The game day, like there was supposed to be ways to go about this to where they could still field a team after they have some people test positive, and they kind of just went out the window.
22 on a roster of 63 now, right? They expanded the regular roster by 10. Right. 22 on a roster of 63. That's a lot of people, dog.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can look up the list of players that it was. The one they put on the COVID list today is Corey Davis.
Yeah.
If you don't know who that is for the Titans, he's their second string wide receiver and technically number one. He's their X receiver, so XYZ. He's their number one wide receiver going into this week because of the AJ Brown situation, where it's still kind of up in the air whether or not he's going to play. Which hopefully AJ Brown's going to be all right, because AJ Brown had a bone bruise from week 2, which of course, like Martin just told you, very painful.
Yeah, bone bruises suck. But that is We Talking Money. Are we talking money? The NFL trying to figure out how they can get their money during this outbreak for the Titans. Ashton, you've got one media suggestion, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what we've just been talking about.
Yeah, the Nashville Post, the basically the Houston Chronicle, which is the most reputable newspaper here in Houston, they posted the timeline for the COVID outbreak for the for the Tennessee Titans. Check it out. It's very informative. I would also suggest listening to, what was it good? The Old Man and the Three talked to Carmelo Anthony last week. So listen to that one. It was a good episode. And they also talked to De'Aaron Fox, and he talked a little bit about being from Houston and everything. So He also dissed Whataburger.
No, hell no. Don't go.
He did. He did, Mark. He said the burgers at best are average.
Oh, come on, bro.
He said people go there for the honey butter chicken biscuit, and that's it.
Oh, dude, you got the taquitos. Have you had the new? This is about to be an ad for fucking Whataburger. Have you had the new spicy chicken sandwich?
Yes, I have.
Oh, dude, that's a good spicy chicken. It's good. I like it. That's a good spicy chicken sandwich. I'm not gonna go too much into it and give Whataburger too much free ad space. But your boy is not a Houston native, but we grew up in Texas where Whataburger is king, and you coming at the wrong burger joint if you think Whataburger doesn't have good burgers. But go check out that spicy chicken sandwich if you haven't. Ashton, what's going on around the world of sports?
Oh, well, I'll start off here. Baylor has now been put on indefinite halt for playing. They've stopped football activities for COVID tests, for too many COVID positives.
Yeah, they had a big one when they were supposed to play U of H a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
It's not good. What's going on, Ashton? The MLB playoffs are going on, and that is where we're going to leave our MLB discussion for this week. By the way, you and I talked about it off camera. The Astros are still alive.
Yeah, the Astros are currently playing in a game where I believe they're winning, which would eliminate the Oakland A's. Is that important? The Astros are up 7-4 in the top of the sixth versus the Oakland A's. Is that like bad for people? Anyway,
Yeah, we'll talk more about we'll talk more
when
about it
this
when
is
the
all
World
said and
Series.
done. Hey, I expect the MLB to be writing a check to the Astros for coming out here and giving the MLB playoffs life. They need to pay them to show up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's all. That's our
Everybody
that's our
loves to hate
breakdown.
on.
That's our
There
breakdown
you
for the
go.
MLB playoffs. The ML, I was about to say the NBLB, which is not, which is both of them. The NBA playoffs continue. Game 5. We're recording this on October 8th. Game 5 is tonight. Tip off. I can't tell you off the top of my head. I
Should
think it's one of
be
the
7.
late. Isn't it a late tip off tonight?
Should be 7. Should be 7 p.m.
8 p.m. Central. It's one of those late ones that so that
Weird,
yeah.
strange.
So the East Coast is going to be watching the Miami Heat at 9 o'clock. As Ashton and I say every time the East Coast gets shafted by the scheduling gods.
R.I.P. to our
R.I.P.
East Coast. R.I.P. to our East Coast brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we're thinking
Out
of you
there.
while you stay up until midnight watching the Lakers win another championship. LeBron, what is it's ring number 4 that he's chasing, I believe. Um, Still gonna have a
By the
losing
way,
record in the NBA Finals, as some people like to bring up. But
6 championships still very much in play for LeBron James. So
oh yeah, for sure.
that's gonna be a fun day. Also, don't make the day after the NBA Finals a MJ versus LeBron day, please.
Oh, it's happening.
When that happens on Twitter, I have to shut Twitter off. So don't do that. I
uh,
hate those are the worst days on Twitter.
oh yeah, for
Hands
sure.
down.
Have you got any major takeaways of the series so far? I think for me, obviously Goran Dragic going down early in this series. Who knows how much it would have played into the series overall? But you
By
could
the way,
tell.
shout out to Gordon. He tried to go in warmups. You saw that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he tried to go, but you can almost tell, like it. You can almost tell that they're missing him. Like they're, for me, I think he would have done a better job guarding Rondo than it's Nunn, or is it Nunn or Nin? However,
Oh, it's Kendrick Nunn.
Kendrick Nunn. Yeah, I think he's trying his best, but he's kind of showing just how good Goran Dragic actually is, because some people aren't that big of fans for Goran, and so they're kind of showing just how valuable he was to this Heat roster. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. They've won one game. Adebayo is officially back. He was back last week, and I don't see him on the injury report right now. So so that's
Yeah,
good to
so
see.
Bam is back for however many games are left in the NBA Finals, because it could be all over tonight. It
Yeah,
could be too little, too late, man. They're up 3-1 in the finals, and if you know anything about NBA basketball, 3-1 is basically a death sentence to
it's
any
ball
team.
game.
Yeah, it's basically a death sentence for any team. It's even more of a death sentence when you're playing against LeBron James.
And Anthony
And
Davis.
especially
Anthony Davis has been
it,
popping off.
yeah, Anthony Davis there too. So now people are already asking the tough questions, Martin. Who will be NBA Finals MVP?
I think it's Anthony Davis, personally. Even though he was kind of asleep in Game 4, I didn't really see much of him out of Game 4. So maybe with how LeBron did, but then LeBron, like there was that, what was it, Game 3, when LeBron just kept throwing up bricks in the fourth quarter. It had to be Game 3 because it was the game they lost. But
Yeah,
LeBron,
game one. Don't forget, game one, he had the quietest triple double,
yeah.
almost triple double. He was one rebound away from a triple double.
Oh, he did have he had a triple double in the last game, so it'll be LeBron. Unfortunately,
a triple double in the NBA Finals, and nobody even bats an eye. Nobody's losing their shit about it. That's the level of greatness that we're dealing with, people. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Like anybody else gets a triple double, even Anthony Davis in the NBA Finals, and they're like, oh my god. Are we witnessing the birth of a superstar? It's how legendary LeBron James is.
And what's crazy, also, Ashton, just really quickly, he's gotten those 2 triple doubles, right? In the games that he hasn't gotten a triple double, he's gotten a double double, and he was 2 assists away in Game 4. He was an assist and a rebound away from a triple double in Game 3, and in Game 2, 1 assist away. So he's literally almost averaging a triple double. All right, LeBron's going to be the NBA, the finals.
See,
MVP.
you see how quick he did. He talked himself into it. That's how fast it was. But yeah, Anthony Davis has been carrying the team hands down. Especially when Bam has been out, he's been dominating the paint, man. It's so uncomfortable for even dudes who are like 6'5", like dudes that are 6'5", like Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn, because I think Kendrick Nunn's like 6'6" or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all those dudes like that, man, and Duncan Robinson too. Their biggest detriment has been defensively, man, and that's what really hides bad defensive teams: dominant centers in the middle of the paint.
Yeah.
So
Also,
it's one of those.
can we get Kelly Olynyk to not shoot the ball, please? Like, if you're a Heat fan and some of the shots he's put up, and I texted you at one point, and like it trended on Twitter. Just stop, dude. Like, what are you doing trying to be the offensive threat for the Miami Heat? Like, you're getting the ball at the top of the fucking key outside the 3-point land, and you're jacking up one of the ugliest shots I've ever fucking seen from a fucking. I mean, yeah, he's a big guy. Like, he's a post player, but dude, his shot is ugly. The way he's so awkward on the court, like, I think I could look more athletic than Kelly Olynyk.
Wow,
It's that
Martin,
bad when I watch.
Martin, that's how Martin's out of pocket on that one. You're talking about he's more athletic than an NBA player, but yeah, Kelly
Jokes.
Olynyk
Your boy's got jokes.
Yeah, Kelly Olynyk was definitely struggling big time out there, man. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. But what really has been killing him, strangely enough, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, where he's wide open in the corner shooting threes.
Yeah.
So yeah, him and Kyle Kuzma, who a lot of people say has not been doing anything, even though he's been the third leading scorer for the Lakers in the NBA Finals. So whatever. It's been interesting, no doubt about that, because the defensive matchups have been the biggest point of contention, right? You saw Jimmy Butler take over in Game 3, get that one win that they needed out there to let us know, let me know, let you know, let everybody else know. Oh, they actually have some juice. They actually got it. And then Game 4 comes down to the wire to a certain degree, and then the Lakers pull off like a Golden State Warrior level push, and it's not with threes. They just start bombarding the Heat down the middle of the paint, and then it gets killed. They kill any hope that the Heat had of coming back in that game with a 3-pointer from their center, Anthony Davis.
Yep.
With the dagger.
And dark horse for MVP, or at least like he needs some recognition, Rajon Rondo. He is.
The real fans know. The people's champ, Rajon Rondo, knows what the deal is, man.
Watch him play basketball.
Once again, Rondo about to get rings with two of the most iconic franchises in the history of the NBA, with the Boston Celtics and the LA Lakers, with the dude that he used to duke it out with to get to the NBA Finals. That's just so much. There's so many things going on, man, and you should just watch. You should watch the games. There's no question about that whatsoever. It's been fun to watch for the most part, man. Especially the last 2 games; those have been the most fun because Jimmy Butler's bringing back the mid-range, baby. For mediocre shooters like myself.
Wait, what's a mid-range shot? I don't know what that is. I'm a Houston Rockets fan.
That gap between the rim and the 3-point line.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it from there as well.
but the numbers, Ashton, the numbers show that is such an inefficient shot. Why?
That's how you get a 40-point triple double with no threes, right? So yeah. Anyway, shout out to Jimmy Butler, man. It looks like it may be done on this one, but they've made it very clear.
They drew blood at least. They drew blood. That's what I think. A lot of everybody
LeBron
knew the
James
Lakers.
In Thanos mode, all that for a drop of blood.
Yeah, like it is. It is what it is. We both think that it's going to be over tonight. But if it goes to 6-7 games, I'm not going to complain. It's going to be entertaining. That's all you want. Like, especially when there's one dominant team and one team that a lot of people think shouldn't be there. As long as it's entertaining, like, you don't have to complain. Ashton, now we're getting into the second to last part of the show.
I wanted to say one more thing before we move on.
Oh, go for it.
I want you to think about what's going to happen next year in the NBA, regardless of what happens in the NBA Finals. Next year, in theory, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson with the Golden State Warriors are going to be back in play because they have number 2. They have the number 2 pick in the NBA draft.
Yep.
The Nets are going to be back in play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
And the Rockets will, in theory, be back in play as well. Don't know what the fate of Oklahoma City is going to be with Chris Paul and everything like that. But free agents coming up. I sent you that text where it was like the screenshot of the free agents for the LA Lakers. And it is pretty much the entire team, including Anthony Davis, by the way. Don't forget that part. Including Anthony Davis with except Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Kyle Kuzma and LeBron James.
Yep. Which isn't that bad of a three-man action to keep a hold of. But yeah, And you got to also remember some of the teams that quote unquote overperformed this year, the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz, like those teams are only going to get better. Like,
Yeah, they're gonna be back next year. It's
yeah,
gonna be lit.
it's going to be a good
That's
season.
right.
Already
I
looking
can't
towards
wait.
next year, and we haven't even finished this one, and we're talking about the NBA playoffs in fucking October, which is how this year is going. All right, Ashton, getting into the NFL pick'ems here. I'm gonna pull up the thing so I can make sure that we get all of our picks in this week, as you and I both didn't. We forgot to put in our Thursday night pick last week, but that
Yeah,
was because you
the
boy
the
we
dumb
didn't
part
have it.
is
Yep,
last week I even had the app open and I just didn't click
just
on
didn't do
Thursday
it.
Night Football.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the dumb part.
Well, yeah, and also your boy was on a date last Thursday, so we recorded on a Friday. But uh, tonight, later tonight, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chicago Bears, kicking off Week 5 of the NFL season. Ashton, you are, I believe, 2 games back. Let's see. Yeah, you're 2 games behind me. Me and Ted are tied for the lead right now at 39 correct picks through 4 weeks. You are at 37. Um, so let's get straight into it. Let's break down this Buccaneers Bears game. Where do you think it's going to go? First game on Twitch.tv, the Amazon Prime and Twitch.tv. So click over there later, and watch it and join in chat. If you look out for Chrome's driving in. That's me. I'm going to be typing in the chat because I enjoy watching it sometimes on Twitch.tv before I switch it over to Hannah Storm and the international broadcast. But what are your thoughts on this game?
So basically, man, we got two of the best defenses in the NFL duking it out. I know everybody's been obsessed with the quarterback position for the Bears, man, but the Bears defense, you saw what they did to the Colts, which, by the way, just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. We talked about the Colts are frauds. Anyway, what they did with the Colts tonight could be a big night for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running backs, man. I'm interested to see how this shakes out. Roquan Smith is one of the best linebackers right now in the NFL when it comes to tackles for loss. They sending that pressure for old man Brady.
Yeah.
They sending that pressure. They're coming for him. This is also going to be their first game without OJ Howard, which of course is going to open up a whole new wrinkle of like how things are supposed to shake out when it's all said and done, right? But man, it makes no sense because the Chicago offense doesn't even look like if it got into a shootout that they could even hang. And if it gets into a close game, they can't hang. I go with Tampa Bay, man. It makes too much sense right now. Also, the Chicago Bears record is interesting.
Yeah, 3-1, even though they've played the Lions, Giants, Falcons. So they're one of those teams you and I we sound like a broken record sometimes when we bring up the scheduling, but you can't deny that a team playing the Lions, Giants, and Falcons should be and then the Colts 3-1. Like the Lions and Giants, they're gonna lose just about. I mean, the Lions beat the Cardinals, but the Lions and Giants are gonna lose more often than not. But the
Wow, you
Falcons,
heard that true sadness in his voice.
yeah,
That's
it
hilarious.
is what it is. I'm going the Buccaneers on a 3-game winning streak. The Bears coming off a disappointing performance. I think the Buccaneers defense better than the Bears defense. Let's see.
I'll go with a big yes on that one. Even though the Bears have been, I mean, the Bears have been getting these tackles, man. The Bears have been getting these big tackles for loss. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is one of the best in the NFL right now.
Let's see here.
Tristan Wirfs, by the way, Tristan Wirfs is quickly becoming really good at his job as a first round draft pick for the Buccaneers. But that could also be to the fact that Tom Brady's getting the ball out a lot faster than most quarterbacks in the NFL.
Hmm.
By the way, questionable. I think Chris Godwin's not playing, and Mike Evans is also questionable as well.
Yeah, we need to update on the injuries. Buccaneers, they give up quite a few yards, but they don't give up a lot of points. I think I'm going to lean and go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight. If you're asking me to pick between Tom Brady and a mixture of Nick Foles, or actually Nick Foles beat him in the Super Bowl, so I'm going the Buccaneers. That's gonna that, that's gonna be my pick for the Thursday night
Thursday night
football.
football is going to be weird, man. It's going to be weird, man. Moving on this one, Sunday we got the 1 p.m. I'm sorry, the noon games for our non-East Coast brothers and
Yep.
sisters out. I'm sorry, the 1 p.m. games for the non-East Coast guys out there.
Well,
It
really
is
quickly, Ashley, really quickly, Nutley Boy says we got to go with Big Dick Nick. But both you and I are on the Buccaneers. We got Nutley in the chat saying he's going with Big Dick Nick and the Bears. The Bear. Oh, I couldn't. I'm still going the Buccaneers, but it's so fun to say.
Da Bears.
It's so fun to say the Bears. But yeah, what's next on the list?
We got Philly taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Philadelphia Eagles coming off an inspired win,
Yeah.
if there ever was one. They beat a second and a third string quarterback to win a game versus the 49ers that are the most heavily injured team in the NFL. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers, baby. Come on down.
Yeah.
After 2 weeks of practice, and of course the Eagles, a flurry of injuries. By the way, I think Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey practiced today.
Did he?
They did practice today. So
they're just trying to trade him, trying to show the other teams that he's healthy so they could trade him. For me, Ashton, they're my Super Bowl pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're pissed off. They didn't get to play last week, and it wasn't their fault. They're getting. And here's the thing: when the NFC East is playing teams outside of the NFC East, I am 100% through 4 weeks. We've got a sample size now. I am picking whoever the NFC East is playing, or picking against the NFC East. Like whoever their opponent is, if it's the AFC North, South, East, West, whatever it is, I don't care. I'm not picking the NFC East to win any games outside of their division. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to go 4-0.
Yeah, man, it's been a sketchy ride for the Eagles so far, Martin. What's up next, man?
Next on this list, we have the Los Angeles Rams traveling to the East Coast once again. I feel like they're on the East Coast just about every fucking weekend now. They're taking on the Washington football team, who are going to be having a new quarterback behind center in Kyle Allen. That doesn't really put any fear or anything into any team. He shouldn't even be there. It should still be Dwayne Haskins, if we're being honest. This one, the Rams played down to their opponent last week, struggled to say the least against the New York New York Giants. Now they get the Washington football team, who you and I kind of agree they're not bad. They're sneakily not bad.
On Tuesday, we agreed we're rooting for them to make the playoffs. That's
Yeah.
what the deal was.
Yeah,
so whatever that fruits us, we are rooting for them. They're our underdog to make the playoffs, and I guess they got to start somewhere. It's not going to be this week, though. I'll take the Rams. I'll take the Rams, mainly because I agreed to that when Dwayne Haskins was still the starting quarterback. So, and also, you got to take a couple L's before you make that late season push for that wild card spot.
Here's the thing. You could literally lose to every team and just win your NFC East games, and you've got a home playoff game. Nutley come in here with some more, too many long third downs for the Eagles in the last few games and too much pressure on Carson Wentz. Ashton and I both agree, and that has to do with the injuries that the Eagles have suffered.
Lane Johnson went out of the game. He's got an ankle injury, and supposedly this is according to their head coach, right? Like it's something that's going to be lingering there for a while, but he's still not going to miss any playing time. So it's only a matter of time before he starts, and then he gets hurt 5 plays into the game. So keep that in mind.
Both of us are taking the Rams. Next on the list, the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to get back.
It's top of the 7th. The Astros are up 9-4.
Okay.
And now the Astros fans on Twitter are calling for blood. They want Mike Fiers to come out there.
Oh, do it. That'd be fucking great. Come on out, boy. Where you at? Where you at, brother?
Oh my God, man.
We got the Arizona.
That would be hilarious if the Astros were just like, send out Fiers. Like they're on the sideline. They're like, come on, Fiers. We've been waiting. They got the Warriors, the glass bottles in there. Like, Fiers.
Yeah,
come out to play.
No, that would be great. But next on the NFL schedule, we've got Arizona, the team formerly my pick to go to the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're lost their last 2 games, haven't played well in either of them.
Is this a get right game?
I was literally just to say this is a get right game. They're playing the Jets.
Even though they're this will be a competitive game.
Oh, you think the Cardinals are that bad? They're going to be a competitive game against the Jets?
Sir,
come on, man.
You know, sir, you put some respect on elite quarterback Joe Flacco, gracing the New York Jets with his presence as their backup quarterback this week. He's starting because Sam Darnold's got a shoulder injury, so we could be getting ready to see the absolute worst game the Jets have played in the past 2 years, which is saying quite a lot.
Hey, you just said it. Joe Flacco, elite. So maybe the Jets score more points than they've put up so far this year. We'll see. Highly doubt it. Buda Baker is back.
The question of a generation for sports fans, Martin, is Joe Flacco elite?
Oh, I love that conversation. Did he? He won the Super Bowl, right, with the Ravens a couple of years ago. So he's
That
got
is
that under
correct.
his belt. That's how
Hey,
he got that
Joe
$100 million
Flacco. Joe
contract.
Flacco, the greatest hustler of all time, won a Super Bowl, turned into $100 million.
Yep.
Anyway,
Give me the Cardinals in this one. Hopefully it's not close like they did against the Lions.
you know what, man?
Are you really gonna do it? Don't tell me you're that. Don't tell me you hate the Cardinals that much. They got Buda Baker back in the secondary, man. Coming back, he's gonna have a fucking club on his hand because he had surgery on his thumb. Kyler Murray, a dark horse MVP candidate, going against the Jets, who are they gonna have guard DeAndre Hopkins?
I'm
Nobody.
trying not. I'm trying not to laugh right now. Also, DeAndre Hopkins came off his worst game of the season last week. I'll
Yeah.
take the Cardinals though.
Right.
This is the first time I picked the Cardinals to win. I think so.
Really?
It took all it took was them to play the Jets.
Next on our list, Ashton, Jacksonville at Houston. The Texans, by all by all accounts, John McClain, everybody's reporting it. J.J. Watt and Anthony Weaver got Bill O'Brien fired by calling him out for being a bad coach before the Steelers game, and then after the Steelers game, the players revolted. I want to know more about what actually they revolted. Like, were they just I mean, you and I talked about it. It looked on the sideline like they didn't give a shit. There was no fire. There was no passion. Nobody was like being the one to like, do the Jason Garrett claps to get people motivated. There was nothing. They're gone. If you've been watching any of the press conferences, Ashton hates press conferences, by the way, to everybody tuning in. If you've been listening to J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson, and everybody in these press conferences, you would think they'd been smoking some reefer, dude. They're that happy. Like they are so they are on the they are it's two totally different people from literally a week ago where they were JJ Watt was giving one word answers in the press conference. He's calling Seth Payne out for doing the Zoom call in his car. He wouldn't have done that if Bill O'Brien was still there. It's another get right game. You're 0-4. There's not many other teams you'd want to play at 0-4 than Jacksonville Jaguars, who they've been getting beat down the past couple of weeks.
So this is a matchup here. I already said that I'm not going to say anything more about Bill O'Brien, and I'm going to stick to my guns on that. Anyway, this is a matchup of this will be the easiest offense that. Well, is it? Is it? This will be the easiest offense that the Houston Texans defense has had to go up against on here. I will say we talk about Gardner Minshew being wild as fuck sometimes. So sometimes his wildness, his true ferocity comes out in the least likely situations. And we have to hope that that's not this week, because if there's a way to make Deshaun Watson look bad, it's for Joe Burrow to go out here and eviscerate the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then for them to go out here and lock up Deshaun. One thing to point out here: a lot of the pressure for the Jacksonville Jaguars defense comes from the edges. They have Miles Jack, and they also have Josh Allen, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL right now, one of the best young pass rushers in the NFL right now. Had a killer rookie season, and it seems like he's following it up. Nobody's really talking about that because the Jags suck, but
He's actually he didn't practice. I'm looking. I just pulled up the Jaguars real quick. Josh Allen, the defensive end, Josh Allen, didn't hasn't practiced this week, so he might not even
wow.
play.
I wonder what that is, because he played
a knee
okay.
injury. He's got a knee injury according to ESPN.
I thought I would have saw something like that, but anyway.
Yeah, it was only an hour ago. So it only came out an hour ago. So it's probably
yeah,
out there on Twitter, but you and I have been recording for the past hour.
So the pressure has been the pressure may be significantly dialed down in comparison to other teams that the Texans have played this season, which of course will help Deshaun Watson. One important aspect that I've yet to see happen, JJ Watt's brought it up a bunch of times. I expect more lane control to be able to stop a guy like James Robinson. I expect good run defense this week, and that puts more pressure on Gardner Minshew, and it makes them more likely to throw the ball down the field, which we've already talked about. If there's one aspect of the Houston Texans secondary that's been performing pretty well, they've been mitigating big downfield type catches. They've also done a good job inside the red zone this season, so I expect that to continue on, especially considering, like, you look at the Houston Texans, like, the injury thing has not really been, like, that big of a deal for them, which is strange to say.
Knock on wood. Everyone was talking about how injury prone their entire wide receiving core and running backs are. Duke Johnson, I believe, missed the game due to injury, but David Johnson, for all of his struggles so far this season, he got hurt in the Chiefs game on one of the drives,
yes,
when he came back in later on. But for me, when Houston plays Jacksonville, it's either, for some reason, sometimes Houston and Jacksonville play close games. Like last year, it was was one of those weird score 1 point games. I can't really remember. Hold on, if I can bring up the 2019 schedule.
Or the alternate thing happens where Matt Schaub sets the NFL passing record versus them.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, last year in week 2, Jacksonville, Houston. It was a 13-12 victory for Houston, and then the game that I got to see in London when it was Jacksonville against Houston later in the season, the Texans just absolutely dominated them, 26-3. By far, Minshew's worst game, and you know what, Ashton?
Uh-oh. Oh, okay, he's reaching to put something on. Okay.
We're back.
Oh.
We're back, baby. We're back. We're all in.
Really not,
The
whatever.
Texans, we're here. We're here. We're getting our first win of the season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have said there's an outside chance the Texans can still win the AFC South, and so
it's not outside.
if this,
baby, I'm telling you right now, baby, they in the mix.
like,
they
just
about to make the Titans forfeit their season. I'm just kidding. Anyway,
but
nah,
you said
honestly,
you said Washington. It's going to start maybe next week, not against the Rams. It starts this week, Ashton. The Houston Texans are going to come out and look like a different team than they have all year. Deshaun Watson's going to throw the ball 60 times. They're going to forget about the running game. And it is going to be. I'm actually going to try and watch every second of this game.
I'm about 90% sure that they're not going to forget about the running game. Romeo Crennel is a highly conservative head coach. I'm interested to see if he just goes, "Hey, like, man, you call whatever you want to call, and whatever that situation may be." My biggest concern is eliminating Bill O'Brien from the equation going to eliminate the tell for when the Texans have been running the ball.
Yeah, which is crazy that you have your NFL team and you can't. Or that you have it tell and you can't get rid of it. But I think are both of us going Texans, or are you?
Yeah, I'm going with the Houston Texans, man. I expect this to be a good game, to be honest with you, man. Also, it'll be my first time watching a Jacksonville game all the way through. I watched them play against the Titans when it got a little bit close, and honestly, they played really, really well versus the Titans, which says a lot about the Titans, I would imagine. Anyway, go ahead. We're both going Houston on this. We're moving on, taking a little trip to San Francisco. The Miami Dolphins are, which is good because Miami getting far away from Florida is the best move that they can make right now. Also, I think this is the longest road trip in the NFL. Probably. I believe it is.
Yeah.
I think it is the longest road trip in the NFL.
I think if Arizona when Arizona goes up to Buffalo, I think that one is like just as far, but yeah, Miami to San Francisco.
It's weird directions, right? It's all about the angle.
Exactly. And the miles cross. But yeah, Miami traveling to the West Coast, take on San Francisco. Ashton, you put this little stat in so we could talk about the Dolphins real quick. They actually turned down the offer. Was it from the Florida governor?
Yeah, so the governor of Florida, Rick DeSantis, offered full capacity because once again, we reiterate this, and I don't think enough people are making a big deal about it. Florida, the number 2 state in America with COVID cases, has completely abandoned all mandates whatsoever when it comes to restricting protocols and everything like that, which naturally means it's time to blow up the border between Florida and the United States of America and send them off into the sunset, wave at them as they float away. Anyway, moving on. They declined it. Because shout out to Miami. Apparently, they had an opportunity to go full Florida on this one, and they said no thanks. Even though they're not playing in Miami, I just got to give them a shout out. It's one of the few positive things that the NFL has done in regards to COVID-19, especially considering all the information that's coming out about this week's debacle. Anyway, Miami versus San Francisco. Martin, Jimmy G's back. Supposedly.
He is back. Yeah, he's been. He's actually been cleared to play, I believe.
Jimmy G's back. Deebo Samuel's played last week. Brandon Ayuk is still Ayuking people. This should be interesting. It looks like San Francisco has a chance to be back at full form because the jump from Jimmy Garoppolo to C.J. Beathard is quite large.
Yeah, and Nick Mullins, who got benched for C.J. Beathard.
I know what this game is going to be, Martin. This is it. The rabbit's coming out of the hat.
Oh, yeah.
Fitzmagic about to pull that rabbit out of the hat, baby. I'm calling the Miami Dolphins to get this win versus the 49ers on the road.
Ooh. So
See, you're skeptical.
Well, no, here's the thing. I was gonna hammer Miami until Jimmy Garoppolo's back and Raheem Mostert's back. George Kittle, he's one more game removed from his injury, but their defensive everything has got question marks with the injuries the 49ers have. The Dolphins, they completely smashed the Jacksonville Jaguars and then lost to the Seahawks. I just I have as much as I've enjoyed the Miami Dolphins this season, I haven't seen enough of them to pick against uh,
Right.
against yeah,
The full arsenal of the San Francisco 49ers.
yeah.
Also, Nutley Boy in the chat saying George Kittle was on fire last week. Mad as a hatter that call. I will say this, Nutley Boy, it has been that's the NFL at the heart of it all. Just makes no sense sometimes. Also, like if there was one person that is an agent of chaos ever since Jameis Winston got hit to the bench, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. He was fourth in the NFL in passing last week for week 4, and he ran for 1 touchdown, threw 0, and threw 2 interceptions. And also, it was a 7-point game between the Dolphins and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense, which means that it makes perfect sense that they would beat the San Francisco 49ers, who are stricken by the Super Bowl curse, lest we forget.
they are they still hungover from their game? I don't know, but
from that super sad party that I heard about from pretty much every person in the NFL, they were like, yeah, man, we went to the 49ers party at first when they lost the Super Bowl, and then we went to the Chiefs party afterwards, and of course it was lit.
Ashton, I might be talking myself into picking Miami here because
Oh man, you're see
the 49ers I picked the 49ers. I picked the 49ers against the Eagles, right? And then yeah, they didn't have Jimmy G, but they did not play well on either side of the ball against the Eagles. And then they lost to the Cardinals week 1. You and I are at complete odds on how good the Cardinals are. The only 2 teams they've beat are the Jets and the Giants. I'm still going to go 49ers. I think their offense being healthier is going to help. But
Martin,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Martin, you put on the Texans hat.
Yeah. We're all the way back. We got and Nutley was like rocking the British cap. I actually bought. Oh, he's got the dolphin. Oh, all right. He's all in. He's got a Dolphins hat and everything.
Pull
all right.
the rabbit out of the hat.
Nice.
It's magic.
All right. I like it. He's going Miami. I'm going 49ers on that one. Moving on to 2 teams that Ashton and I are not, or at least I'm not thoroughly impressed with either of these ones. The Colts at the Browns. Ashton basically calls Indianapolis the Fultz because of how much of a fraud they are. Cleveland, they got a benefit of the doubt by playing one of the worst defenses in the NFL last week in the Cowboys. They've just lost Nick Chubb for a few weeks, so I think Ashton's going to have a hard time picking Indianapolis, but what are your thoughts on this game?
So when it's all said and done, man, the Browns, this comes down to a game between 2 quarterbacks that we have little faith in, right? Like a lot of people believe in Phillip Rivers because he's done it in the past, right? The Colts wide receiver core has been consistently hurt this season. They've had very few big breakout games. Their defense is finally going to get a real test against a team that the Browns out here for the fist fight, right? Like run blocking is basically a giant fist fight. And they have proven time and time again, they here for the fight. This is going to be a great test for the guy who's been the most hyped DB not coming into the season, but as the season has started in his very young age. Xavier Rhodes about to get the biggest test of his entire season. It's either Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham Jr. that he's got to hang with the entire time. I've already mentioned on Tuesday, I think Stefanski realizes just how tenuous his situation is with the Browns, right? Like they're on a historic pace to beat a team that they're a Browns team that we haven't seen in almost 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
Stefanski, he is going wild on him. He's using offensive plays. He's using play calling, a scheme from 20 years ago. He's using his offensive weapons outside of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in unique ways that people haven't seen. He had Jarvis Landry throw a touchdown pass last week. They've got the offensive line, and if there's one thing, the offensive lineman that gets them excited to do pass protection is beating the shit out of people on run blocks. I'm believing in the Browns on this one, man. It makes a lot of sense. I'm banking on, this is another thing too, Martin. The Browns' pressure has been on point the
Yep.
last couple of games. And hopefully it trends. They're going up against the best offensive line in the NFL. It's time to see if Myles Garrett is as good as everybody says he is, because guess what? I have a strange feeling the Colts ain't going to give him any one-on-ones with free agent right tackles. So he's
Yep.
going to have to earn those this week.
Yeah, the Browns offense kind of, like Nutley said, they were fun to watch against the Cowboys, man.
That whole game was a lot of fun, by the way. Like, you know who it wasn't fun for? Cowboys fans.
Oh,
It
for
was a
sure.
ton of fun. By the way, thoughts and prayers to Tyron Smith. Apparently, he might be out for the entire season, so hopefully he's going to be all right. He's a really good player.
Yeah. So the Browns offense is kind of exciting. It's going to go as Baker goes, so who knows which Baker is going to wake up on Sunday
Oh
morning.
man, it's time to open it. That oven's going to open up. You're going to smell those chocolate chip cookies. It's going to be 13 of them on the tray, baby, because it's a baker's dozen coming your
Oh,
way.
nice one. I like it. But without Nick Chubb, we'll have to see how they play against a defense that isn't the Cowboys,
Yeah,
since
man, this is where Kareem Hunt gets to argue. Once again, Kareem Hunt. Argument for comeback player of the year. Like,
yeah,
let's be
so
for
yeah,
real.
he's playing really well. I'm going the Browns simply because
The
they've
Browns are the better team.
yeah, I was literally
Like,
about to say they have
Martin,
played better.
say it with your chest.
No,
The
I'm not gonna
Browns are
say
the
the
better team.
no. The Colts are 3-1. They've played the Jaguars, Vikings, Jets, and Bears. So, and also
Oh,
remember they
Nutley's an
lost to the
Eagles fan.
Jaguars.
Nutley's an Eagles fan.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. Well, I'm going Browns with this one. They're at home against the Colts. Both teams are 3-1, but one team is their record is basically based off of their schedule alone. The other one kind of played a couple of tough teams, and the offense is clicking, man. 30, at least 30 points in every game except for against the Ravens in week 1. And it was almost like you were saying, the coach has been putting up these like interesting coaching schemes, but it kind of woke him up, I think, week 1, because everyone was saying, "Oh, it's the same old Browns again. Here we go." And since then, they've kind of he's got another hat. Here he goes. He's got the Seahawks this time. But yeah, I'm going Browns against the Colts, and he's putting the Seattle hat on because that is who we're getting to next. Minnesota heading out to the Pacific Northwest to take on the Seahawks. Ashton's Super Bowl pick is 4-0, going up against Minnesota, coming off their first win of the season against Houston. Ashton, Seattle's weakness is not Minnesota's best strength, which is that pass defense,
That's
which
right.
is
I was gonna say,
historically
Martin.
bad.
Oh no, Kirk Cousins has to go out here and win the game for the Vikings. Ooh,
Good luck.
I think I've seen this story before.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Seattle Seahawks have easily the worst pass defense in the NFL in terms of like yards surrendered, which we can get into a discussion about why that is some other day, I imagine. But nonetheless, man, it's evolution of re-evolving their pass defense, because it's all about if Jamal Adams ends up playing in this game or whether he's going to sit out another one. I'm sure he's also got
Is he gonna be smoking a blunt when he's watching the game?
I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You're talking about
Martin.
the picture he posted and then took down and took
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
The photo that I saw 5 minutes later did not have the marijuana paraphernalia in it.
He was
anyway.
smoking a fat doobie. He know it. But this is the Sunday Night Football game. We got Russell Wilson going up against Kirk Cousins. If anybody thinks Kirk Cousins is going to outduel Russell Wilson, you have not been watching the first 4 weeks of the season. Seattle's offense is clicking on all cylinders. They kind of struggled last week, though, Ashton, against your mighty Miami Dolphins. So this
I'm
one's
just
not.
saying, baby. We know it. We know what that was, dog. We know what that was. There's a lot of fun to be had in South Beach. Anyway, I'm kidding.
Yeah, this one's not hard to pick.
Weird things happen in Miami, but yeah, you're taking Seattle on this one. It makes the most sense to take Seattle, especially considering not only because Russell Wilson's been kicking absolute ass. Chris Carson's been tearing it up, and nobody's really talking about that as much as they should be. He's been doing it in terms of the pass offense and the run game as well, even after he got Gator rolled in the Dallas game. So that's pretty impressive for him on that one. I don't know what they did to his ankle. I'm sure there's a lot of needles that were in there at some point, but nonetheless, he's coming up against a Minnesota Vikings team that really has been striving, if you will, for a semblance of like a really strong pass defense. They've been trying to figure out ways to generate pressure. Russell Wilson is the definition of a moving target in the NFL. So good luck with that, I guess. But nonetheless, they're all their guys are going out there. They're huge up against the Minnesota Vikings secondary that has been struggling,
Yep.
man, struggling out here, and they're gonna tear them up. That's
Yeah,
just
if you
how it
can't,
is.
if here's my thing, if you can't stop Will Fuller from getting 100 yards and a touchdown, how are you going to stop Tyler Lockett? Because Tyler Lockett
I'm,
is a better Will Fuller, and oh, by the way, they got DK Metcalf on the other side of the field. So,
and
uh,
yeah, Tyler Lockett is insane, bro. Like his ability. You want to talk about all the short kings out there? Look up to Tyler Lockett. Try and be like him. Kansas State, they apparently they know how to pick them sometimes.
yeah.
But
Speaking
I
of,
will.
or go
I was
ahead.
gonna say just pointed out about Will Fuller. He was one catch away from a 3 touchdown game with 100+ yards.
Yeah, and Tyler Lockett is a better version of Will Fuller. But did you see somebody called out Aaron Jones for being short? And they were like, if you're 5'9", you can look up to Aaron Jones, and he responded, "I'm 5'10". It was really funny. One of those like tweets that I just like randomly
Yeah,
came
no
across.
doubt. Yeah, he's like, I'm 5'10", bro. What are you talking about? Like,
So we're both going Seattle on this one. I don't think Ashton's ever going to pick against Seattle to lose a game this season. He's probably going to make them go 16-0, undefeated all the way to the Super Bowl. Next on the list is the 0-4 Atlanta Falcons and the 2-2 Carolina Panthers. The Atlanta Falcons, for some reason, stats wise, have one of the best offenses in the league, but
it's
their
not for
record.
some reason. We've already talked about this. Matt Ryan operates in a vacuum. Regardless of what is going on around him, Matt Ryan is doing what he does.
Mm.
It could be something serious, man. Julio Jones has been hurt, like legit
In and
hurt,
out, in and out. I'm actually trying to
hamstring.
in my main fantasy league, Ashton. I'm actually trying to. Hopefully, the guy that's has Julio Jones isn't listening. I'm trying to get him for cheap right now. Trying my because the guy that has Julio Jones needs running back help bad, and so I've got the 49ers running back. The White McKinnon,
Jared McKinnon.
Jarek McKinnon, and then I've also got Le'Veon Bell, who is when we get to or we actually talked about the Jets already. Le'Veon Bell is supposed to be back this week, excuse me. So trying my best to trade Le'Veon Bell and McKinnon for Julio Jones, and get him on the cheap. But he's being a little stubborn. He's doing the Dan Quinn and hoping that Julio Jones can play through his injury.
The
But we saw
Dan Quinn.
but we saw last week that Dan Quinn um, will play Julio Jones hurt. Julio Jones played the game, then went out injured. The Carolina Panthers, who are honestly, Ashton and I are going. They're the team of everybody in the NFL this year that you don't want to play. Like like Ashton and I was saying,
You
you
gain
don't want to
nothing
play
from
the
playing
Carolina.
them.
You don't want to play the Carolina.
You gain nothing from beating them, and you lose a lot from losing to them.
Yeah, and
They're
really
the worst
quickly,
team to play.
just stepping in here, Nutley boy, thank you for the follow. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for stopping by in the chat, talking with us, and thanks for the follow there. We are on the road to affiliate. We're just over 20 followers away from hitting our next goal for being affiliate here on Twitch. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for joining us in the chat on twitch.tv/BokeBoySports. Sports. Ashton, the Carolina Panthers. Um, they're they're making it hard for me to pick against, and their defense is their defense is no joke. No matter what you think about their offense, no Christian McCaffrey. People say Teddy Bridgewater sucks because they're wrong. Um, their
Because they're wrong.
their
I agree.
defense has actually played quite well.
What's
Yeah,
really
they
been
get
bailing them out, what's really been helping them out, man, their pressure from their younger defensive linemen. Like we mentioned it on Tuesday, Brian Burns and Derek Brown panning out really well for them so far. When they play against like the non-elite offensive lines in the NFL, they're getting pressure up the middle, and that takes the edge off of what secondary players have to do.
yeah
It makes sure that they have less time where they have to cover some of the best athletes on the face of the planet.
yeah. Nutley says it's nearly it's getting late where he is, so he's in the UK actually. We got another person tuning in from outside the states. Thank you very much, as he's got work tomorrow. Enjoy it. We record every Tuesday and Thursday, um, and so yeah, around we start normally around the evening times. Depending on what Ashton and I have going on during the day. We will either go live a little earlier, a little later. We'd like to do Thursday ones so that we get it all out of the way before Thursday night football starts. Ashton, we've got a couple more games here on the schedule. I'm going Carolina, by the way. I don't know if you said your pick. I'm picking the Panthers.
Man, if there was ever a time to have faith in the Panthers, I feel like it would be now.
Yep.
I feel like this is the game that we've been waiting for a little while, man. They already got that key win versus the Chargers
Beat the
and
Cardinals,
Atlanta.
lost to the Raiders, lost to the Bucks.
No. I'm calling the Falcons.
Ooh, you calling the Falcons? Okay.
Yeah, man. I don't know about the comeback ability. Well, I say that, and I actually do because they came back versus the Chargers and they came back versus the Buccaneers at one point. So if you believe that Matt Ryan is the caliber of those quarterbacks, which I believe he's somewhere in between Justin Herbert and Tom Brady, I don't think they come back in this one. I'm going with the Falcons. I'm giving the Falcons their first dub of the season, man.
All right. Buffalo at Tennessee. This game is still up in the air, Ashton. We can still.
Oh, by the way, we just take the Bills out the fact that the Titans have been pseudo practicing for 2 weeks.
Yeah. As much as I'm not the biggest fan of the Bills, this game still may not even happen. Titans run game, Tannehill, Jonnu Smith coming along, but they may be out. Their 2 top wide receivers is Corey Davis, as you mentioned earlier, on the COVID list. I don't believe A.J. Brown is back yet. If this game does play, whenever they play it, or at least this week, because there's also talk of making a Week 18 for this game.
Yeah, so all the missed games we played, they would push the Super Bowl back and then the playoffs subsequently as well to that extra week that they had the cushion built into, and then have all the teams that missed games, which of course hinges upon only one team missing one game.
Yeah.
They would have to play those in Week 18.
Yeah, so if this game plays this week, I'm going the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I'll take the Bills on this one, man. And it's really more of out of respect for the Bills have been clicking and they're actually killing the game right now. And the Tennessee Titans are getting less time to actually physically prepare for them.
Yeah, next game on the docket, Joey Burrow coming off of his first win of the season for the Cincinnati Bengals. They are going up against Baltimore.
Gonna get real familiar with these L's again, boys.
See, Ashton, this is one of those games, like, if I'm going to pick an upset this week, I think I'm going to pick Cincinnati, but I don't know if I can. The Ravens, the Ravens are they're 3-1, but I think they're struggling. And I was talking to a Ravens fan about this, and they agreed. Like, they think there's something going on. Like, because Lamar Jackson didn't practice one of the days this week. Like he
has like a knee injury. He's on the injury report right now.
Yeah, like there might be. Apparently he's sick, like ill sick, like not feeling well, which is.
They said it was a knee thing for why he didn't practice. So if it's like they changed it.
Well, I'm just pulling up right now. ESPN says there's 2 reasons Lamar Jackson is not practicing. That's because of his knee and because of an illness. But it was just they haven't said what the illness is. Just on the injury report for Thursday, the Ravens added Lamar Jackson with an illness designation along with the knee. And my good friend Kevin, who is a big Ravens fan, he said Jackson looks like he's been playing hurt. He hasn't been playing at the MVP level of years past. They haven't needed him to, really. I mean, it would have been nice against the Chiefs, but they're Browns, Texans, Washington. You don't need to be putting up as much points. But when you play the Chiefs and you lose like they did, they didn't even really throw the ball. It's just weird. There's something not right with the Ravens this year. The Bengals, they got that positivity going. They got their first win against the Jaguars. They played well. It looks like their offensive coordinator, whoever it is, Zach Taylor, whoever calling the plays, has kind of learned what Joe Burrow, and even though their offensive line is terrible, what they do well. Is it Joe Mixon's? Is it going to be a aberration because he played the Jaguars, or is Joe Mixon going to do it again against the Ravens? I want to pick the Bengals so badly here, Ashton, but I'm going to pick the Ravens.
Yeah, Martin, I'm banking on one thing and one thing alone. The Ravens have some of the best pass rush in the NFL right now. And we saw what the Browns were able to do. They have the number 1 pass rusher by sacks, which is not exactly how you determine who the best pass rusher is in the NFL. But the fact of the matter is the Ravens defense is just so overwhelming to even a talented quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. We saw what happened. They had moments where they were tearing them up, and they had moments where they were like completely shut down, which means you look at lesser defenses like the Cleveland Browns, right? Or lesser offenses like the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have beaten the Bengals, and I get it. The Bengals are which is strange to say, the Bengals are in a totally different place than they were all those weeks ago on Thursday Night Football, right?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow may be able to put up a pretty good fight in this one, but I think that it's a combination of they have lockdown wide receivers versus inexperienced wide receivers. They have lockdown corners versus inexperienced wide receivers. AJ Green, one of the best in the game, and this is going to be a tough one because it is a divisional matchup, but that doesn't take away the fact that like AJ Green like he's becoming slowly but surely a non-factor for the Bengals
Yeah.
offense, and it may be because him and Joe Burrow just don't vibe like that, which happens. It really does. AJ Green also, like he has been for the past like what 4 years, is playing hurt probably. Even the season, you talk about what happened the last 2 years with the knee injury and everything, or I'm sorry, the ankle injury. But it's hard to sit here and say that the Bengals are going to have a pass offense to even count on,
Yeah.
and they become one dimensional. They lose and they crumble. That's what I'm banking on. So I'm
Okay.
going with the Ravens.
Like, here's the thing: if we do Tuesday's episode and the Bengals have upset the Ravens, I'm gonna be so upset that I didn't go with my gut, because my gut says for some reason the Bengals are gonna
It's a
win this game.
layup. It's like a perfect opportunity, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
what you're feeling.
but
Yeah.
you can't, like, as an NFL analyst and like somebody who just watches the game, like, who's 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 gonna win the battle of the trenches? The
And on
Ravens.
top of that, like, do you feel like the Bengals have shown you that they are good enough to disrupt somebody else's ability to do what they want to do?
Not yet. Not yet this season.
Because if the Ravens do what they want to do, what happens on the offensive side of the ball, Martin?
They just run the
There's a
ball down
lot
their
of it's a
throats.
lot of time before they ever get it back.
Yeah, exactly. If they keep Joe Burrow off the field, that would be even better. So I think we're both picking the Baltimore Ravens here. Let's move on to the next game on our list. The Las Vegas Raiders heading to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. It's a divisional matchup, so who knows how it'll five. We got what are you doing the five for? Or is that the Beyonce? Oh, they're going to 5-0. Oh, okay. For those just listening and not watching, Ashton was kind of doing the Beyonce.
Single ladies song you're talking about. Put some respect on our queen. Put some respect on the name of the greatest Houstonian of all time.
I don't give the Raiders any chance. Yes, actually, the only chance I give them is the fact that they played up and, well, I already talked about this. They blew their load against the Saints. They're not winning
I
against
have
the
a
Chiefs.
feeling that Josh Jacobs
He's gonna be shut.
may not play this game.
Yeah, just keep
Anyway,
just keep him out. Apparently Henry Ruggs is gonna play, so that gives the Raiders one
yeah,
more threat out wide. Um, but yeah,
we'll
the
see
Chiefs.
if it increases the depth of target for Derek Carr, because that's been the biggest problem, right? Like everybody knows what he's gonna do before
Yeah,
he does it because he's highly conservative. So we'll see, man. And also mention this randomly: Derek Carr has 5 fumbles in
and no
4 games.
interceptions.
I
Yeah,
don't know how that happened, but
yeah.
yeah,
How much?
that's
Go ahead.
no. That's all I had to say. He had 5 fumbles in 4 games. I don't get how that even happens as a quarterback, but hey, whatever.
How much of the game film for the Patriots Chiefs do you think John Gruden has watched this past week?
If I was him, I wouldn't be trying to watch it because my team can't replicate that. But so yeah, Jonathan Abram has been struggling really at the safety position, right? And they lost one of their starting defensive tackles, Maurice Hurst, from COVID-19. So their defense has not been able to dial up a lot of pressure. And a lot of people think that's the key to beating Patrick Mahomes, which in the reality of things, it has to be great pressure combined with great defense,
Yeah,
what I believe to be man-to-man defense on the wide receivers. So, um, yeah, man, they don't have the personnel to be able to pull off that versus the Chiefs offense. And it looks like even it's a divisional matchup. So, everything could be turned completely on its head. That's why that game versus the Chargers is so close. That's a divisional matchup. A lot of people like to forget that. That gives a huge advantage to both teams because they understand each other so well and what they run and how they run it more intricately than other random teams in the NFL. So that could make this game close. But for the most part, man, the Chiefs defense has been on another level when it comes to getting to the quarterback. And on top of that, like Tyron Matthews been all over the place. Like he got an interception in the flat,
yeah.
like off 1 yard off the line of scrimmage.
uh, One of the reasons, if I'm not picking them, but one of the reasons I would pick the Raiders is they knew what to do to beat the Saints and Drew Brees, just keep the offense off the field. So if they have the ball for 30, 35, 40 minutes in this game, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm still picking the Chiefs because no team has proved how to stop them yet. The Patriots proved how to slow them down, but not. I'm never going to pick against the Chiefs until somebody figures out how to stop Andy Reid's offense. So I wouldn't be. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be. It would not shock me if both the Chiefs and the Seahawks. I mean, I think that the Cardinals might get a game against the Seahawks, but it wouldn't surprise me if both teams are undefeated going into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a tough look, especially with the way that they're operating now. Like only one team has even come close to being able to compete with them, and it's the New England Patriots, and they didn't have their
Yeah.
starting quarterback. So if you got the personnel to be able to replicate that, which you would imagine the Baltimore Ravens have the personnel to be able to replicate whatever the Patriots did. But anyway, we
Yeah,
move on. We
Ashton,
both picked the
yeah, we're both
Chiefs on
picking the
this one.
Chiefs. Ashton, I've leaned a little bit closer because I'm trying to figure out why in the hell this game is in the late the late.
It's a Fox NFL game of the week.
Is it really?
It's America's team versus the number one media market in the country.
Oh my God!
It's like statistically perfect.
How this one is not just
By
a
the way,
new
it's the
kickoff.
Giants at Dallas is
Yeah.
what we're talking about. So there will be fans there.
Yeah, there'll be fans in the stands. The Cowboys will throw for 700 yards and probably.
By the way, that terrible Dallas defense, this is your opportunity. This is your chance.
This is a get-right game. However, Ashton, I don't think I've really picked any underdogs or any upset so far. Maybe the Browns over the Colts. Ashton, the New York Giants are 0-4, going up against the Dallas Cowboys, who on defense have been struggling mightily. The Giants
don't do it to yourself.
The Giants played. Can we say they played well against their defense? Played well against the Rams. Their offense did absolutely nothing. They've got to win one game this season, and
they don't have to. There have been teams that have gone 0-16.
Oh,
yeah, they don't have to do anything.
Ashton, I'm picking. This is it. I'm picking the Giants to get their first win of the season, and I know I'm going to get it wrong.
Because I'm going to take the easy dub on this one, and I'll take the Cowboys. So lock that one in. Make sure you put that on your phone. Put it on your phone right now. Go ahead, do it. Do it on camera so we know.
Well, no, I can pull it up, right? I can pull it up on my.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I just want to make sure that it's locked in. The Cold Stone lock of the week. The Giants beating the Cowboys.
Here it is, right here.
I look like an idiot on Tuesday. This will be perfect video if I do.
I've got it pulled up. I've got the click. I've got the check. The New York Giants are beating the Dallas Cowboys this week, and it's not just because #fuck Dallas. It's because the Cowboys defense is that bad. I would not be surprised if the Giants somehow put up some points on them, and Dak Prescott has his stats stuffed again because they don't want to run the ball with Ezekiel Elliott for some reason. Got a couple of games left on this, 2 games left. Denver at New England. Still no Cam Newton as far as I'm aware. It shouldn't really matter as Denver doesn't really have a quarterback. Even though Rippon did all right in his win against the Jets, he had his ups and downs, bit of a roller coaster performance. Played well early, threw 3 straight interceptions, I believe, and then had another touchdown. New England, I mean, they're 2-0 at home. There's not a lot to say about this one, and we talked on Tuesday about Julian Edelman doesn't look right, but I don't see Denver putting up enough points to beat the Patriots.
Yeah, man. The most important thing to watch in this game, one, we don't know if Cam Newton's coming back, so that'll change a lot of things very quickly for how well this game could go. One thing to point out about the Denver Broncos, man. How well does Melvin Gordon do in this game? Thursday Night Football is a weird place, and he performed very well against a terrible defense with the New York Jets on Thursday Night Football. This is an opportunity to go up against one of the better defenses in the NFL and prove that, I mean, this could be like, hey, after this, Phillip Lindsay doesn't get carries unless Melvin Gordon's tired. So that's the big thing to take out of this one, man. Both of these teams are really beat up and really banged up. But if Stephon Gilmore doesn't play, they still got other guys who are good. So I'll take the Patriots just solely off of like game prep, and of course like coaching plays a huge role in what they were able to do. And for whatever you have to say about Jarrett Stidham, 3 interceptions versus the Kansas City Chiefs is, I mean, that's the situation a lot of quarterbacks can find themselves in this season because we still think they're the Chiefs defense from just a year ago when obviously they've gotten better. And they still don't have Rashawn Breeland, by the way. He's still on suspension. So hopefully he'll be back soon. I think it's like 6 weeks he's suspended for or something like that. But nonetheless, man, New England coming out here and out just knowing their system better than what the Broncos are capable of doing, because it's like, once again, like you're asking me to trust Vic Fangio over Bill Belichick, and a lot of things got to break for me to be able to do that. But yeah, I'll take the New England Patriots in this one. reluctantly.
So for those of you that don't know, there is currently a hurt. Oh wait, no, wrong game. Excuse me. I'm taking the Patriots. The last game on this is the last game on the docket, the Monday Night Football game. This is the one I actually wanted to talk about and mention. There is a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, heading towards Louisiana, where the Saints will be hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. Ashton, I don't know if you've seen this report, but if things go south and there's a direct hit or anything like that, this game will actually be moved to the Indianapolis's Lucas Oil Stadium. They've already had a contingency plan in place. However, the Saints are not planning to evacuate or anything like that, though the storm is
Yeah, the
projected
freeway.
to hit
Yeah, like
Friday.
legit. There's stories coming out already. The freeways are just like filled to the brim with people trying to evacuate out. And if you know anything about people who live in the Gulf, um, it takes a lot to get them to move. So for them to do that, it could be bad, man. It really could, and it would be another massive storm that's come through and hit the Gulf again.
Yeah.
So that's terrible.
Uh,
Hopefully everybody gets out of there safely and they're all right.
yeah, we've talked about the Chargers a little bit earlier with Herbert being named the starter. They got no Eckler for the next couple of weeks, so who's going to step up and carry the rock? On Tuesday's episode, we talked about once Eckler went out, it was a struggle bus for the Chargers. They also, excuse me, they also have a common opponent, so it's making it a little. Oh, I got the hiccups here.
I will point this out. We'll do a quick update here. Most important game of the day. The Houston Astros up 11-4 over the
Nice.
Oakland A's.
There we go.
It's time to put these boys to sleep.
Man, these hiccups,
Send
I
out
can't stop.
fires. So what Martin was gonna say while he recovers from that situation, Martin was talking about how much the Chargers offense fell off the table. Like they went
Yep.
completely off the map, off the radar whatsoever once the run game came into question. But it did not stop them from competing with the Patriots. It did not hinder them from being
Or the
successful.
Buccaneers.
Versus,
Buccaneers.
Sorry, versus the Buccaneers.
You got the Tom Brady. You got the Tom Brady. Tom Brady's still a Patriot in your head, yeah.
No doubt, yeah. So they did not stop them from going back and forth with the Buccaneers on that one, and that's talented defense. This game should be very interesting. It's once again, you want to talk about a big sell for a lot of people. It's Monday Night Football. It is the old guard versus the new guy.
Yep.
The new guy, the new dude's on the block, which is a great sell, a great storyline to sell. I'm sure they got something about how like when Justin Herbert was 1 year old, Drew Brees was winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, something like that. I hope we get one of the Monday Night Football graphics for Tyrod Taylor's lung getting punctured. Give me some Stephania Bell talking about the recovery process of that. But both teams have played the Buccaneers so far. Chargers coming off a 38-31 loss. The Saints played the Buccaneers first week of the season, won 34-23. Ashton, if you know me, I go by schedule and common opponents. Sometimes. So I'm going to be picking the Saints, even if they play this game in Indianapolis because of the hurricane. It's at the Superdome. It doesn't matter. It could be in LA. I'm picking the Saints, even though Justin Herbert, he loves to play up to his quarterback competition. So expect him to do all right going up against Drew Brees. I expect this game to be close. Michael Thomas is expected to be back, so we'll see how he clicks into things after missing a couple weeks with his ankle injury. But
especially
give me the
with
Saints.
Traquan Smith doing so well with Michael Thomas out, man.
Yep.
And honestly, if you know anything, the Chargers have 11 starters that have gone out this season and now are on IR. The defensive side of the ball could become a huge issue for them, man, because one, Drew Brees isn't solely dedicated on one wide receiver being dominant for him to be able to be successful, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, I don't know whose job it is to mark up on Alvin Kamara at this point, man. So good luck with that. Mikey Davis had a killer game. He had the pick six last week, so I'm sure he's feeling himself, right? He's feeling himself pretty much right here. But this will be interesting, especially considering the defensive side of the ball, because if you can't stop Alvin Kamara, you can't stop the Saints offense. And that's what it hinges upon.
Yep. So you're picking the Saints?
Yeah, I'll take the Saints, man.
Okay, so I think by my count, we've only got 2 different picks this week. You went Carolina, or you went Atlanta. I'm going Carolina, and then also I went the Giants. You went the Cowboys. I think the rest of them, or no, the Miami Dolphins as well. So we've got three picks there that are different. Ashton's back 2, so those are going to be the ones he's hoping for to come back and join me at the top of the pick'em ladder.
Martin,
some good games though. We're one out away.
One out away. One
That's
out away.
That's what I like to hear.
The ALCS. Y'all gonna be big mad.
Now, Ashton, do you have Now this card, we're gonna transition to the UFC really quickly. This card, um, this this card that what I've seen so far isn't the best card. It's almost
Nope.
it's one of those things. I've mentioned this before. The UFC kind of puts like when they've got big things like big UFC pay-per-views going on, they'll put a card in the middle of it just to have some fights on. And Marlon Moraes versus Kari Sandhagen is the main event. Um,
Yeah.
and that just says it.
Uh,
That just says it all. It's just one.
yeah.
It's just a filler fight or a filler fight card.
Marlon Moraes is a UFC vet. He's 23-6, man. So he's really good. But once again, like you said, there's by the way, we're about to say some of these names. And if you were a UFC fan like before quarantine, you're going to recognize a good chunk of them, which is probably the selling point for it. And Martin, you'll know some of these dudes too. I'm sure you already looked at it and saw.
Yeah, I've looked at
There's
the
some
card.
dudes.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some dudes on here that are pretty good.
Okay.
So they're just not big names. They're good fighters though. We start with fight number 1. By the way, forgot to introduce this segment. We're doing the UFC nickname picks. Martin, once again, last week, he had 5 picks for you. They went 3-2, which means the UFC picks are above, have more than doubled the wins in comparison to the losses.
Yep.
We've gotten to that point now. He's got 1-4 in 1 week. He's also got, I'm sorry, there was, no, it was 2-1-1 last week, right?
I thought it was
because of the draw. Because of the draw.
Oh yeah, you're
3-1-1 last week because of the draw. So there was a draw in one of the fights that Martin picked, which is super rare in MMA as a whole. But anyway, we move on. We on this show, we could give you that crack MMA analysis. We could give you that elite level MMA analysis that can tell you exactly who's going to win. But we like to make it fun for ourselves too. We like to pick winners here on this show based off how dope their nicknames are. Because as you know, as a sports fan, your nickname is like half the battle, bro. Like 50% of the win becomes about whether or not you have a dope nickname. You got to have the bravado. You got to have the aura about you to be an elite level fighter. The Notorious.
Now, Ashton.
John Bones Jones.
Yeah.
Leota the Dragon Machida.
The last style bender. And I will say,
guys.
I will say before we get to the fight, there is one fighter on this card I wish had a nickname, and I've been trying to figure out one for them because Ashton, no Simp September is over, and I'll just leave it at that before let's get into the fights.
So fight number 1, this is a man by the name of Bruno Bulldog Silva. So he's got 10 wins of 4 losses. He's currently he had a no contest pretty recently, which is interesting. But before that, he was on a 2-fight win. So Martin,
hello, yeah,
dude's got a tie and a no contest on his record.
Interesting.
Super rare. In his last 5 fights, he's had a tie, 2 wins, a no contest, and a loss. He's been on a roller coaster. There ever was one. Bruno Bulldog Silva versus, hold on, let me make sure. Oh, yeah, Martin, it doesn't matter what the other guy was going to do in this fight.
Yeah.
Tagir Unabekov.
Tell me where he's from.
He fights out of Eagles MMA, which if you don't know, is based in Dagestan, Russia.
We don't pick against Dagestanian fighters ever on this show. It'll actually, when Khabib fights, we or at least I will be picking Justin Gaethje when they end up fighting. But for the most part, Dagestanian and Eagles MMA, you don't pick against them because they know what the fuck. Most of them know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, this one, unfortunately, no nickname for Tagir, so we gotta.
Yeah, Martin loves to see. By the way, they don't have an age listed for him.
Wow. Okay.
In the scariest thing possible, they don't have an age listed for him. But yeah, he's got 1 loss and 10 wins, 5 submissions, 4 decisions, 1 TKO. He fights out of Eagles MMA, which is one of the most famous gyms on the planet, on the MMA scene, because of how many great fighters have come out of there recently. And on top of that, scary Russian dude. Like, it's pretty simple. Like, we don't even have to sell it for you. This young lady is from St. Gallen, Switzerland. Her name is Stephanie Egger. Not Eager, Egger. She's 5'1". She does not have a nickname. But I wanted to mention she does fight out of the Buddy Gym.
Okay.
That's what the name of her gym is. We have Tracy Cortez, who
And
I'm assuming is who Martin was talking about here.
yep, Ashton, this is
Her gym's name is called Fight Ready. So there was ever a bit. It's like Hard Knocks 365, that gym.
yep.
So yeah.
So Tracy Cortez, she made her UFC debut just less than a year ago, and hasn't been able to get on a card since, which I think is a bad job by the fighters, unless she had an injury that we don't know about. This is the fighter I was saying I hope had a nickname so that I could pick her. No longer knows since September, so we could stand up in here and say she is not only a good fighter, she's really pretty. I'll just leave it at that.
So she lost her first fight ever, first
Mm-hmm.
professional fight ever, and since then she has won 7 straight.
Yeah,
Shout out to her for sticking with it.
Yep, couple of unanimous decisions on there. Also, she's got a rear naked choke, some punches. So yeah, so this is a fight that I'll be making sure to watch, just to see how good she is. You and I, we actually really enjoy some of the women fights because they can actually be better. Or
Ladies be vicious, man.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
no lie.
They get at it sometimes. Whereas like sometimes we'll watch the guys fight and they'll just dance around the ring. There's not a lot of dancing around the ring in the women's fights. So Tracy Cortez, I'm sitting here trying to think of a nickname for you, but unfortunately, until then, we can't pick you in the nickname pick. So we move on, Ashton.
Omar Morales does not have a nickname, but he is undefeated. So keep an eye out for him. He's 10-0. He does have an 8-pack as well. Dude's lean as hell. This is Giga Ninja Cicadas.
Is that a disqualification? I feel like there's quite a couple of ninjas.
I mean, you got to give me a famous one.
Tyler Ninja Blevins, the streamer.
We're not gonna go with that one. But yeah, Giga Ninja Cicadas. He is from Georgia, the country, not the state. 10-2 on his career, going up against the undefeated Omar Morales. Next fight, Tony Primetime Kelly.
Okay.
Who is from Shreveport, Louisiana. Hopefully he's gonna be all right because with the storm heading there, man, Shreveport already took a hard hit on the last one, man. So hopefully he's gonna be all right pretty soon.
Well, he'll be in Abu Dhabi for when the
but
hopefully his hometown is all right. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Yeah.
He is also a team alpha male fighter. Shreveport, Louisiana, the hometown of one Daniel DC Cormier as well. 5-2. He's got 3 submissions in his record. He's also fought earlier in quarantine. He is going up against Ali, the royal fighter, Al-Kasi, who is from Amman, Jordan. Gladiator MMA is the name of his gym. 8-4 on his record. Got to be pretty impressed with that. His last fight was a loss. Before that, he was on a 5-fight win streak to get to where he is now. That's pretty good. Yep. Pretty good. So we move on to the next fight there. We got Joaquin. I always love saying Joaquin. Joaquin Numansa Buckley. You got to look that one up.
Okay.
He's from St. Louis, Missouri. Numansa, M-A-N-S. M-A-N-S-A is Numansa. 10-3 in his career so far. Very talented fighter, no doubt about that. He is going up against a guy we're very familiar with here in a second, Martin. But as soon as you look up Numansa, this is the fight that got scrapped earlier and they rescheduled it, right?
I believe so.
But yeah, you got anything?
Nothing's coming up yet. Hold on.
Define Mansa.
Buckley.
1 letter off from an insult in Spanish. And also the name of a very famous organization here. Is that how you spell Mensa? Or is it with a C?
You probably know more than I do.
Mensa means stupid in Spanish, but it's a name of an organization of geniuses here in the English speaking world. Which is technically the entire world.
Yeah, we've definitely looked this guy up before because Monsla translation popped up as I was.
Also, the guy that he's fighting, you've also looked him up before too, because it's the T. Shalobo dude. I think it's like God's Warrior or something like that.
Oh yeah, and we didn't pick it, and
he won. He won pretty exciting fashion too.
Yeah.
He's still undefeated, and 8-0. He beat Coconut Bombs, if you remember that fight. That was a really good fight that Coconut Bombs lost. But yeah, so Numan says the nickname. We'll be moving on. Impa Tishlobo Kansangane. He fights out of GMO. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina. 8-0. Last time we saw him, he got a big dub, like we said, versus Coconut Bombs. So if Martin wants to pick him, he can, because he said his nickname last time was really dope.
Yeah,
You
and I
look up
would
the
have picked him had I known that it was it's like Warrior of God or whatever his real nickname means.
This guy's from Philly, so he may know a thing or two about scrapping. He's a heavyweight. Chris Dukakis. I'm sorry, Daukas is here. He's 31 years old. He is 9-3 in the heavyweight division. He is fighting up against, you got to look this one up, Martin. Rodrigo Nascimento Z Comea Ferreira. So Z Comea. So Colemeia is his nickname. He is from
Apparently,
Brazil.
it may or may not be Yogi Bear, because I look up Colmia and it's literally all Yogi Bear, but in Portuguese.
Yeah, he's 8-0. It probably is that. He's a fighter out of American Top Team, so he's pretty good.
Or
So,
beehive. Apparently, it means beehive.
so Rodrigo Nascimento Beehive Ferreira.
Okay, okay. Not too bad.
This is wait, hold on a sec. Oh no, he's from Alberta, Canada. KB the Bengal Buller.
KB. Hold on. I'm still typing in my the last guy's nickname.
By the way, his gym is the Shaved Bears MMA gym. We've had on before,
Yeah.
talked about before. But KB Buller the Bengal, who's 8-0, that's 3 undefeated fighters on this card so far. He beat Matt Dwyer. Some of you guys may know him. Everybody else that he's beaten, I have no idea who they are. Started fighting in 2012 though, so he's only been at it a couple years now. His opponent is Tom Breeze.
No nickname.
So, no nickname, just Breeze.
That's actually you mentioned that maybe that's what this card is all about, to see if these undefeated dudes can hang with like the big, like not the big dogs, because they're not really fighting names, but like these like move up in the rankings type fights. You know what I'm saying? Like some of them, like these all these, like every other fight has an undefeated fighter or like a 1-loss fighter so far.
Tom Breeze on this one, he is a fighter out of TriStar, out of the home gym of one legendary Georges St. Pierre.
Yeah.
He's also from Birmingham, West Midlands, England.
Okay.
Yeah, 11-2 so far in his career. So we move on to the next fight, a familiar name, Yusuf Zalal, the Moroccan Devil. Moroccan Devil Zalal. He is from Inglewood, Colorado, not the other Inglewood. Thomas Aspinall, we've seen him fight before. He's the guy out of Manchester.
Oh, so England. We got 2 British dudes fighting each other.
Wigan, Greater Manchester, England. Team Coben. He does not have a nickname, though, so you can't pick him, Martin. You just got to root for him. Next fight here, we're getting close to the end on this one. Dricus Still Knox Duplius. His nickname is Still Knox.
Okay.
Which, if you know the slang for like Still Knox, it means it's still a banger. So that's pretty dope. He is from South Africa, like the country South Africa. 14-2.
He's from South
not
Africa.
Just like South Africa. He's from South Africa. But yeah, he's 14-2. His opponent is Marcus Muluco Perez, who is from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Beautiful place. Yep. Beautiful people. He is 12-3 so far in his MMA career. He's pretty good. A lot of winners on this card.
Well, the South African's got an interesting nickname, though. Still Knox.
Is it a slur? Okay, I was making sure. No. One time we had and then this is a good one. We got a good heavyweight fight coming up right here, Martin. So this is the third to last fight. This guy from Poland, it's Marcin Tybura.
Okay.
He's from Poland. Fights out of Jackson Wink, which means this dude's probably got crazy amounts of skill. 19-6. I forgot what Tybura means. We've had him on a card before. He is fighting a legend in Big Ben Rothwell.
Ooh. And anybody that doesn't know Ben Rothwell, that man's got the stomach, like he does not, or he used to. He's kind of lost it recently. He used to be a little, had a couple pounds on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Big Ben Rothwell used to be all about the big part of his name for sure. He's still huge. He's 6'4" and weighs 265. Coming in at a 265-pound fight, he's got 38 MMA wins in his career, man. The dude is a legend of the game. He is also from, ironically enough, Martin, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yep. Yep.
Wild.
He kind of looks like like a Paul Bunyan descendant. You know what I'm saying? Just the big
Right.
old boy coming down here. You know what you're gonna get with Ben Rothwell. I mean, he's got a couple of submissions on his belt, under his belt, but most of the time he's gonna knock you out or go to the go the distance. You know what I'm saying?
And now by the way, the Astros won 11-6, so they'll be going back to the ALCS much to, ooh man. My friend sent me a video from the Houston Astros Reddit, and it's just literally the song "Hose Mad" while the Astros are hitting home runs. Hose mad,
Hose
hose mad, hose mad. Edson Barbosa been in the game for a long time as well. 20-9 on his career so far. He is from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. He's a fighter out of American Top Team. If you've probably seen him, he's been a pretty much a staple in the UFC. He is also fighting Marquand, Mr. Finland, Armakani here, who is
Yeah, we
pretty
talked about
familiar
him
with.
before. That's a weird nickname, Mr. Finland.
He is from Finland, so thankfully that's the good part about that.
Yeah.
16-4 in his career. He's got 11 submissions. Mr. Finland does. He's got a style that he sticks to religiously. And then we move on to the headliner here. No nickname, but it is Corey Sandhagen. He's a pretty good fighter. He's from Aurora, Colorado. He fights out of the Elite Gym, Elevation MMA. 12-2 on his MMA career. He's got 4 TKOs, and as of late, he lost the Funkmaster Aljamain Sterling, who is a title contender right now. Things shake out a certain way. But before that, dude was on damn near a 10-fight win streak and beat some really good fighters along the way as well. Well, so this is his opportunity to get back on track. He is fighting Marlon Moraes, very talented fighter, also very vicious with the strikes. 23-3, and when I say vicious with the strikes, out of those 23 fights, he's got 10 of those the TKO to put him down. So he is also from Rio de Janeiro. He does not. Sorry, it's Marlon Magic Moraes.
Yeah,
is his nickname.
I can't believe Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen hasn't gone with the Sandman or something like. You think I feel like anybody with sand in their name has to go Sandman or Sandwoman. You know, like it's almost.
Also,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, sadly, we have to disqualify Marlon.
Oh, really?
Magic Johnson.
Oh, come on.
The greatest Magic of all time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. However, they have a common opponent on their list of fights, so I'll just put that out there. So actually, I've got 5 fighters to choose here before we get out of here. We're just going over the 2.5 hour mark, so I'll make it quick. Ali, the Royal Fighter, Alkazi, Impa, Tashi Lobo, Gane, Rodrigo, Zay Colmier, Nascimento Ferreira, Allen, the Black Samurai Badeau. We got some international flavor in our picks this week, Ashton.
There you go.
All of them from all over the world. And then in the main event, we pick it every time. I know you disqualified him because of Magic Johnson. However, he's the only one in the nickname in this fight. If he didn't have Magic or if he didn't have a nickname at all, I'd probably lean Corey Sandhagen, even though Sandhagen.
Where did you get Black Samurai from?
Sherdog.
What name is that?
For Alan Badeau, the French guy.
Wait, what French guy? Am I missing?
Fighting Tom Aspinall. Did we not talk about that one?
I did not read his name. My bad. I did not read it. He's Black Samurai. He's also got a very he's got a mohawk.
Yeah, so. He looks like Mr. T almost.
Mr. T.
Yeah, he's got the Mr. T mohawk and beard.
I think he's going for that.
But yeah, the Black Samurai, that's a good one. Puts a little fear into the hearts of his opponents. But yeah, so the Black Samurai, and then in the main event, I'm gonna go just because he's got the nickname, even though it's a disqualification. Marlon Magic Moraes, because in 2017 he beat Aljamain Sterling in the first round with a knee. And then Corey Sandhagen in his last fight lost in the first round to Aljamain Sterling. So that is going to be my main event pick for this one. UFC Fight Night 179. Another fight from Yas Island, Fight Island, as we get ever closer to the big fights. This one's a gap card because Ashton, the next one on October 17th, we've got Ortega versus the Korean Zombie.
The
And then
Korean zombie back at it again.
yeah, and then that's another fight night. It's not a pay-per-view. Remember the next pay-per-view for Fight Island, Khabib, Nurmagomedov. Oh my god, I can't believe I missed that one.
Khabib Nurmagomedov versus
Nurmagomedov.
Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, we got
UFC 254.
Nurmagomedov. Like I could probably say it without reading it, but it's gonna be Khabib versus Justin. That one's gonna be probably gonna be the most watched fight of this year. But Ashton, we've done a lot today. We've talked about what's popping. We've done best of the best, worst of the worst. We got what happened a week ago. We had it all today. We got our NFL picks in there for week 5. Make sure to tune in on Tuesday as we break down all the NFL action. Ashton and I are disagreeing on 3 different games. We've also got this UFC fight that not exciting beforehand, but now that I know their records, Ashton, I'm actually looking forward to this weekend's fight card, Fight Island. That's all from me. Take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one thing left to say. Only a couple things left to say. I always say one thing, and it's actually multiple things. Wash your hands, wash your ass. As a matter of fact, wash your whole body. Do that for me. Wash your whole body on a consistent basis. Wear your mask, and most importantly, Roger, stay home.